Fae and Alchemy, Episode 10, or 'Twas the Night Before Evenlight.
Or Yanika, Make It Work.
Or Funky Cold Zovina.
Or one fish, two fish, red fish, kingfish. Get it? Because he takes all those fish.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah, now I get it. I was reading that and I was like, what does that even mean? I thought you just saw my title. I was like, oh, yeah, I'll do another book.
No. Welcome back to Between Pages and Friends, a book club podcast hosted by Con and Lauren, two besties who read a lot of books, and John and Kyle, their gamer-turned-reader husbands who've agreed to read with them. I'm Lauren.
I'm John.
I'm Con.
And I'm Kyle. Today we're discussing Brimstone chapters 25 to 34. This is a book club style podcast, meaning it's a safe, spoiler-free space to read along with us. All four of us are reading Brimstone for the very first time, so if you have not read beyond chapter 34, come on in. It's all gravy, baby.
And because we have not read beyond chapter 34 yet, please do not send us any spoilers. It's a dangerous world out there, a terrifying place to navigate memes and DMs before finishing a book. We are not finishing Brimstone until January, so please refrain from sending us anything about this book until we've had a chance to enjoy our first read spoiler-free.
If you are looking for a space to spoil the book and yourself, join our Patreon. All Patreon tiers get you access to our community Discord with chats dedicated to discussions following each podcast episode with or without spoilers. Our $5 Patreon tier also includes all of our live events, our monthly book club, reading challenges, and the full archive of our past content. For $10 a month, you'll also receive early access to ad-free episodes, merch discounts, voting privileges, an exclusive hangout space, and more. You're muted.
You muted! Dang it!
Got her.
A Christmas come early.
Okay. Dang it! Okay. We would love to meet you in person. On April 25th, we will be attending a Sorcerer's Affair in Kansas City. It will be a truly magical evening hosted by Bookish Lore Events, with a VIP experience hosted by the four of us and some other amazing content creators. Tickets are super limited, so use codes FRIENDS15 for $15 off your ticket now at bookishloreeventskc.com.
And finally, whether you're a longtime listener or brand new here, please take a moment to help spread the word. Write a quick review on Apple Podcasts or Audible. Help support our show. It's free, it means the world to us, and you might just hear your name in a future shout out, like this recent 5-star review on Apple Podcasts from our new bestie, The Best Song Ever, titled, Guys! Like many others, I found you through John's ACOTAR reactions, which were amazing, by the way. I followed you through Quicksilver and When the Moon Hatched, and guys, y'all are amazing. I'm all caught up and need more of my new besties and just started listening to your TOG coverage. I am dying. Cry, laugh emoji, cry, laugh emoji. You guys feed off each other so well and are hysterical. Such a fun time listening and laughing with all of you. Keep it coming. You guys are awesome. Thanks for the best review ever, the best song ever.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thanks for laughing with us.
Yes.
Especially going back from
Right.
our newer stuff and going back to Throne of Glass and being like,
Jump
it was
scare.
amazing.
Must be a culture shock there.
Yeah, I know, right?
Well, and before we jump into the episode proper, we just want to wish everyone a happy holiday.
Yeah.
Hey, happy holidays.
Yeah.
Merry Christmas.
We're all dressed up for it, see?
Merry happy.
Very happy celebration.
Non-denominational Mr. Winter.
And if you are only listening, we're all wearing super cute Santa hats. And Kyle has some Christmas trees.
And we're also super cute.
Oh, well, that too.
Yeah,
And we're in our new
always.
merch. Do we want to talk about our new merch?
Yeah, new merch. We do have some brand new, very exclusive, limited edition merch for our Brimstone coverage. So you can get it right now at betweenpagesandfriends.com, but it will be gone January 28th.
Dun, dun, dun.
Be able to purchase this merch for a very short time, and then it will retire
How exclusive.
forever.
Either get it online or don't.
At betweenpagesandfriends.com.
but please get.
I was
get some.
gonna say find it in a thrift store, but it's like, well, that means you gave it away, which I also don't want.
Or don't.
Or don't.
I mean, that is how it works.
Those are your options.
The choice is yours.
In life, we have many choices, and this is one of them.
You made Con snort. You made Con snort before the episode even.
You made me wheeze.
Oh man!
Oh boy!
Happy
All right.
holidays.
Here we go. Welcome back to Con's Declassified Fantasy Pronunciation Guide, the part of the show where we highlight all the new names and places mentioned in this chapter section. Today, in places, we have the Shag's Nest. This is the bar in Western Dow that Fisher procured trout from for Onyx. 1 fish, 2 fish, redfish, kingfish. And then in characters, we have Orias, seneschal to King Belicon Debara. Warwick Briarstone, this was Foley's father. He was the advisor to former King Rurik Dianthus. Vash and Mayan were mentioned in this list of people that Foley loves who are out there in the world somewhere. Yanika, the royal master tailor of Amontreath. And then Xeris, a former Lord of Midnight. Lastly, Xeris, a former Lord of Midnight, the one previous to Algat being chosen. In world building, we have the Firin Stone, where all Fae and Avelia swear an oath of truth and service when they turn 21. Ceres's new short swords, these are named Aramar, meaning mercy. That's the one with the iridescent inlay in the hilt. And then the other is Selenir, meaning honor, with an ivory inlay in the hilt. Lastly, I don't have a confirmed meaning for this, but Zovina refers to Carrion as Shiaska when she says that she knows who he really is. And that's all I have for you today. I'm going to turn it over now to Juan with the chapter recap.
Thanks, Quan. We get started. Chapter 25, Fisher POV, trying to make their way in the pitch black. Fisher having to give Carrion the quote-unquote sight, now only one of 4 who has the ability to see in Fisher's darkness. They make their way over to Elroy's forge. Hayden is the first one in, Fisher to follow, and getting lumped in the back by what I can only assume is like a sledgehammer or something, courtesy of Elroy. They argue for a bit, Hayden eventually stating that he wants to go wherever Ceres is. Carrion explains everything to Elroy, who apparently knows all about the Fae and Kingfisher. He mentions that just like the Swifts, his family is a long line of forge masters who had rules to keep, and they were charged with a task handed down through generations. He takes them down a secret passageway under the forge to a giant pool of Quicksilver. Chapter 26, Sarah's point of view. Still reeling with power and nowhere to send it as she makes a mad dash for the Quicksilver pool in Amontreath. She lets her power in and faces her fear of it. She feels the power at her fingertips and opens her eyes to see her shield flare with energy, summoning the Quicksilver and easily opening the portal. She walks into the pool, the Quicksilver taunting of her unworthiness of such power. It winds its way inside her, inquiring about how far she's willing to go, as she would give up that which is most dear, to which she replies no, and it halts its advance. The Quicksilver is pleased by that answer and begins to retreat, stating that the pathway is clear, and then it throws her out of the pool, making her smack against the wall, and she blacks out. Chapter 27, Kingfisher POV, down in the newly discovered Quicksilver pool, the largest he's ever seen, apparently. Amount of Quicksilver, guys, okay? Take it easy. Elroy explains that he and Ceres have been adding to it for years, that it used to be just a bunch of pieces of metal, but when Ceres was taken, it turned into the pool. He also knows about Solace and that it closed the doorways in the castle. He explained that he did have some papers at one point about Alchemiran stuff, but that he burned them in an attempt to protect Ceres. That as she grew, so did her power, and he basically sent her and Hayden out into the street so to not chance any guardians visiting the forge and noticing her power. Just as they were discussing not having to go back to the palace on account of the pool, it explodes. Although Fisher didn't hear any voices from the Quicksilver, he decides to go through, Carrion and Hayden eventually on board as well, and now all fixed with relics, they think of Ceres and step in, ready for whatever awaits them. Chapter 28, Ceres POV, coming to after getting blasted against the wall, and no, not by Kingfisher. Not sure how long it has been, the pool came alive, someone coming through, a crown of dark hair, but then an ugly face to follow. Arias, an advisor to Belicon, followed by 5 guards. He has come to offer a deal from Belicon for Ceres to return to the Winter Palace, use her talents as an alchemist, bring Everlane along with her, swear an oath before the Stone, and bring Kingfisher in shackles to be executed, although Arias doesn't really finish the last point of terms, as Ceres draws solace. In return, basically, she would be dressed well, she'd eat well, boosh it. Ceres gives him a piece of her mind, but Arias reminds her that pretty much all of them are oath-bound, so they'd just kind of be screwed. He starts in on how the rumors have started about her, how she can't wield her sword, unsealed runes, but she shows her the one that she just sealed, and he's starting to have second thoughts. So she quote-unquote reforges Solace right in front of him, creating 2 short swords. Then he sets the guards on her. They fire their arrows, but she's able to use her power to deflect. But then they draw their knives, and she senses that they are made from something different. They feel different. They feel strange. Arias calls them null blades, and the guards attack. They get a few hits in, but she reins it in, remembering her training with Lorith, bringing down 3 before Fisher and Party come through the pool. Fisher holds Arias down with the shadows as she uses her shield in a blast of power that hurls the final 2 guards into the ceiling, breaking their necks. Fisher wants to finish off Arias, but Ceres wants to send him back so that Belicon can learn what she's capable of and begin finding strategies to defeat her and back her into a corner. Smart. Chapter 29, Sarah's point of view. Back in college with Hayden, passed out after having gone through the Quicksilver. Taylena taking care of him. Not much that Ceres can do, so she heads to her room to take a bath. Archer is there getting it all set up for her. Kingfisher comes in shortly after. He compliments her fighting and her new swords, named Mercy and Honor in Old Fae. He also shares that the rot is continuing to spread and getting closer. Remembering her conversation with Arias about the oath, she asks Fisher how an oath-sworn Fae breaks their oath. And he says that they don't, but that being far enough away from Belicon, he can't command them unless they were literally in his physical presence. So that definitely won't happen in this book. She notices that Kingfisher's Quicksilver rune has also solidified and sealed. They eventually fall asleep for a few hours, but then Ceres wakes up to a stiff gentleman knock, knock, knocking on heaven's door. And this week's segment of Emoji Erotica. Woo! Emoji Erotica.
Merry
Heaven's door
Christmas.
indeed.
Oh.
And I read, a yawn face, parentheses, rock, and a rooster, end parentheses. Yeah. The little swirly cyclone guy that I've been using lately. Exasperated face, right hand, and then the left hand. Chest pawn, trophy, parentheses, ice skate, and ball of yarn, end parentheses. The, I really don't want to show this. It's like the I love you hand. Right. You got it. An abacus. Okay. The French flag. Question mark. Check mark. Parentheses. Lion. And the like shouting shadow silhouette. End parentheses. Boxing glove, boxing glove, boxing glove. The little ink splat. And a magnifying glass. And that is this week's Emoji Erotica. Emoji Erotica.
Yay!
Wow.
Thank you. Thank you.
Always sad when you need a magnifying glass at the end.
Well, not for what you think it might be for.
Yeah.
The
I
Did
get
we
you.
read that one?
I'll have to. Nobody would get the French flag. I'll have to like send that in the Discord or something. That is a.
Challenge accepted.
I wouldn't even call it a deep cut. And the chapter finishes along with everybody else. Fisher getting some new ink courtesy of Ceres's God Binding. Chapter 30, Ceres POV. Archer calling out for Fisher as they race to Hayden's room, but he's fine. They race to Everlane's. She was seizing some others trying to hold her down. Carrion was nearby, wink wink, and heard screaming, kicking the door down to Lane strangling Taylena. Danya, conveniently, was also nearby, wink wink, and they had to pry her off Taylena. Lane screaming at something to stay back and to leave her alone. Taylena can feel something, quote, a weight pressing down on her, end quote, and her soul and shadows Saris can also see like a figure in her eyes, almost like a figure walking. Saris reaches out, but the Quicksilver tells her to run. She touches Lane as a voice comes from Lane saying, "The gate is open, it cannot be closed," as she falls motionless. They discuss what could be happening. Fisher, Saris, and Carrion will go back to Amontreath to find anything that could help, and Fisher orders the evacuation of the border. They head back to the fortress to find Tal running into Zovena on the way. We get some cat fighting here, a meow hiss here, meow hiss there. Sarah's finally getting around to asking about the letters that never made it to Foley. Zovena has them, so Saris orders that they be delivered immediately as Tal appears reporting for duty. Boing. Does it make a sound, Kyle?
Yeah, let's see.
Oh, wow. Surprisingly, no.
Silent but
Shucks.
deadly.
Yeah, truly. Chapter 31, Fisher POV taking Onyx to Saris's rooms at the castle, singing to the fox along the way, even supplying some food, and Onyx gives Fisher a present that he had hidden under Saris's bed, a perfect little pine cone. Fisher heads to the library and is greeted by Guru, who guides him to what seems like a secret room for Foley that he has in the library. They quote-unquote catch up as much as they can in these circumstances, confirming his bond with Saris. They continue their conversation, and it leads to Fisher asking Foley the last time that he fed on Fae blood, and it hasn't been since Ajin, and hasn't really seemed to have an urge to feed, making a point of Foley's either discipline or drive to not truly become a feeder or just like one of the vampires. Then Fisher shows Foley what remains of Joshin to have him watch over it. Chapter 32, Saris' point of view, with Carrion in Tal's room and his guests. Skip ahead a bit to where Tal gives Saris one of the null daggers he found at the tomb, advising her to get rid of it somewhere. Then a chick named Yannicka, sorry, is that what it is? Yanika. Shaniqua. Shonda. What's that song?
Mambo number 5?
No.
It didn't have any of those names in it.
The rap song. I don't know. Anyway, then a chick named Yannicka stops by, and she needs to take Saris's measurements for the even light ball. Tal explains that this is where she'll need to choose a new Lord of Midnight. Dagger in hand, she heads to the library, following Fisher's scent, where she gets followed by several of the stargazers, eventually getting caught up by hundreds of them in a whirlwind of paper birds. A couple more swoop down and draw blood, and after a few moments, they'll stop. Dropping to the floor and unfolding, she begins to gather up the pages and reads a few of them, notes about alchemists. They fly out of her hands and magically form a blue book with a butterfly on the cover. Yo! That's a high five for me. Just in time for Fisher to show up. At first, she hides the book, but then does show it to him, and she confesses the details of what Adina told her. Fisher takes a look, flipping past the first page, and gives it back to Saris, clearly very emotional. Chapter 33, Kingfisher POV, and it's really just the second page of the blue book that he just read. It is a note addressed to him from his mother, giving him some like cryptic glimpse of the future, or rather like what she has seen, not details, just some like reassurance. And her like final words are telling him to give Saris back the book. Chapter 34, Saris POV, with Carrion preparing for the ball and getting asked a million questions on the logistics, so she leaves it all to Tal. They head back to Kalish to get away from it all, heading to the forge to further investigate the Nullblade. She gives Carrion a bit of a hard time here about accepting or just at least acknowledging his birthright, and as he tries to defend himself about no one really caring, Archer shows up and chimes in that while they might not know Carrion and Evalia, the people have been praying for the heir to show up and save them from the cruelty that they have endured. She asks Archer about Endina as well, and he gives her some little tidbits, one being her favorite flowers that used to grow there, so he hurries off to go get some for Saris. In the middle of Saris and Carrion's conversation, they see a burst of flame outside and rush out to Archer's cry for help, a feeder trying to drag him over the wall, an infected feeder. Without thinking, she throws the null blade, and it sinks into the feeder. She remembers what happened at the Darn, so she doesn't want to use her magic either, how they absorb the magic. They get it knocked down, and it springs for Saris. Archer jumping in its path as the feeder rips Archer's neck wide open. Magma spews from Archer, covering the feeder, and the feeder begins to melt. With the feeder dead and not sure if Archer is dying, they snatch him up and carry him to the forge, his life burning them as they go, unwilling to let their friend die out in the cold.
Ugh.
Crazy stuff. Just
A horrible
crazy
stopping
stuff.
spot.
Thanks, Julie.
Yeah, thanks, Julie. And thanks, John, for the recap. Let's get into Chapter 25, Lorden leading the charge.
Chapter 25, called Foundations. This is a Kingfisher POV. This is like right as Kingfisher has just set all of Zilvarin in shadow, and he mentions that he let Carrion have like this extra sight to allow him to see in the shadows. And he says only 4 other people in the existence can like also do that or whatever. So first of all, who are these 4 other people? And then is this a permanent change for Carrion, I would assume? Or is it just like a one-time thing? And then I think that it's going to end up being a thing that will come back later. I don't know if in this book, but like at some point. Because they're now buddies. So like maybe they'll have like some secret something. And then Carrion will surprise everybody. But Kingfisher do the whole time because of shadows.
Right.
And,
Right.
Yeah, he will.
See, we've been thinking it was a why choose with Saris and Tal and Kingfisher, but it's really with Kingfisher. And then for Carrion and Saris.
Carrion's whole life is a why choose to him.
That's very true.
That's funny.
Well, then they talk about the pale green glow of the even light torches that the guards carry, like barely cut through the shadows, and that they shouldn't have even had even light here. And my thought here was I was wondering if, the festival that they have is somehow tied to Madra keeping herself like alive or powerful. It seems like a twisted way, like although she gives gifts, I still feel like there's something going on there where, I don't know. It's weird.
I agree. It is weird. My first note here is just that I am super excited when Kingfisher like whirls around because he got hit, and then it said there was a grizzled old man brandishing a fire iron, and I wrote, "Yay! Welcome back, Elroy!"
I know. I highlighted the words "old man" and I wrote "Elroy?" Question. I was so excited.
I was so excited. And then Hayden's jaw sets. So cheers.
Hayden, first time on the board. Okay, this is just a confirmation from a conversation we had last week where Carrion does confirm that Gracia is the last Swift. So we had kind of talked about that and whatever. So I guess that's just confirmation on that one, which honestly for Carrion, I think it's probably better that his story is kind of tied off in Zilvarin because he's already struggling so much with wanting to be any sort of ruler or part of any sort of court or whatever that's happening in Avelia. So I think that's probably, as sad as that is, I think that's probably a good loose end to tie up in his story, I think, for the long run. But anyways, then this is when Elroy tells everyone that he knew the whole entire time about the Fae and Carrion and Quicksilver and Solus and like all the things. And Carrion, of course, like freaks out, like, why didn't you tell me? And all those things. But I just loved that he was part of the story in a way I didn't anticipate him to be. I'm like secretly mad that I didn't guess it, but only because there's been so much speculation over who Elroy is, and this was never once my guess that he was just some random dude that knew about it the whole time. Yeah, so that was really cool. And then it also makes me wonder who else is like this as well that knows. Like, did Gracia know that Elroy knew? Because Elroy knew about her, but like, is there other people that know about Elroy's family, but he doesn't know about them? And, like, how far does it go, I guess?
Yeah.
So,
So is Elroy, I guess it wasn't really confirmed, like, is he 100% human? Because I know it said he came from a line of forge masters, so he's definitely human. He's not like Fae or an alchemist or any of that.
No, I took it that he was...
Right?
Because he said that his whole line went crazy from using the Quicksilver.
Yeah. Okay.
I feel like they're alchemists.
So does that
But
mean
maybe
that they're
they-
also Fae? Or can you be an alchemist and be human?
Yeah, that's a great question.
I had this note somewhere because somebody
He
else...
talked about his grandfather like hearing voices, and I was like, oh, okay, so definitely they're alchemists.
And he said he
But for
stopped
whatever
using
reason
it a
they
long
call
time
him
ago for
forge.
that reason.
I guess if anybody... Well, that's the active Quicksilver. Because I was going to say, like, the active Quicksilver could make anybody go crazy.
Okay, John
Without
had a
having to be
note on
human.
this later in chapter 27, and so I had like commented on that. And I said I didn't think that they were alchemists, that they were just regular people with a forge tasked with the job of collecting as much Quicksilver as possible, because he said that they tried to melt it down. And then I would assume like if they touched that is when they slowly went crazy. But he had never seen it fully liquid until Ceres was taken.
Right.
And Ceres is an alchemist, and that's the only way she's ever messed with it, is like fully making it liquid like that.
Oh.
And
So if they
Elroy
were, they
has-
would have been able to activate it.
Yeah. And he said that they were just like taking it off of stuff and putting it in this big pile,
Right,
and then
yeah.
it melted
Yeah.
into this liquid pool after Ceres was
Okay.
taken. So I took it like they were just like the Swifts, where they're just regular
Yeah, just like a
people.
line of humans that
Yeah.
knew everything and just were tasked to.
But I would assume being around
secrets or-
Quicksilver that much, even if it's not fully liquid or whatever,
Which
would
is
make you somewhat crazy. But I
Crazy
don't
to
know.
even have to melt it down, because Quicksilver is liquid in real life. And if we're basing it off of other things, like metals and things that they're quoting, obviously, I guess it's just like a mystical thing they call Quicksilver. What we think of as Quicksilver.
Yeah.
Obviously, because of the magical powers, but, you know.
It is, but like during all of that time, it was frozen because of the magic and the sword or whatever stopping it.
Stilled.
Yeah. So I think you're right, but also he's right because of
Impossible.
the magic. Anyway.
So does that mean like anything that's forged with Quicksilver? I mean, it's not like that just like liquefies anytime the Quicksilver is activated, right? Or does it? Or is it just that
That's a
like a
great
pool
question.
of Quicksilver?
I don't know.
Like-
Maybe because you're intentionally putting it into something for it to be, and it seems to have if not several personalities, and accepts what it should be. So
Oh, that's true. Yeah.
But also, like,
Okay.
yeah, it could be because it accepts it. I was going to say because Everlane's earrings melted down or whatever. But
Yeah, and I remember
Ceres is the
talking
one
about
that touched
that.
it.
Right. Like in book 1, whenever she was practicing activating the Quicksilver, but it was just like a teeny tiny little bead of it. And we were like, so are all the pools everywhere opening every time she does this? It sounds like it's maybe just pools of Quicksilver. I don't know. I did have a quick note, Lauren, about your theories from, was it last week or the week before? It says when Elroy leads them to the secret door, it says the tiniest scrap of magic cleverly woven was all that hid the door. When Elroy had pricked his finger and dabbed a small amount of his blood against the wall, the heavy blocks of sandstone had moved back. So this made me think that Lauren's totally right about Kingfisher's blood being the key to break down the walls where Joshin was trapped. So shout out to Lauren.
Thank you.
And the sandstone moving made Kingfisher set his teeth on edge. So, cheers.
Ooh. Is Minnie trying to get a drink?
Yeah, she is. All right, last one for this chapter. It says Elroy's eyes went to the huge recessed pool at the center of the cavern. And I wrote in all caps, what? There's been a crap load of Quicksilver there this whole time. This is mind-blowing to me, but also it's so funny that like he was talking about how obvious it was that Ceres had some sort of ability because of the way that like all these tools reacted to her. And I'm like, this whole time right underneath her, there's been this like massive collection of Quicksilver.
I think
It's
her
insane.
mind is going to blow whenever she learns that more than
Yeah.
which I'm surprised. I guess she technically would, since they're all back and he would have told her or whatever. But I wish we got that on page, I guess.
Crazy.
Crazy.
That takes us into chapter 26, in the end, Sarah's POV. Yeah, so this is when she has feeling like that huge burst of power, and it says, I stopped fighting it, magic zipped along my nerve endings, and there it was, like a tangible, pliable thing at the ends of my fingertips, raw divine energy. And I was like, whoa. Okay, did she just inadvertently like seal her rune? And also very interesting that she describes the energy as divine. I was like,
God's
okay, that's, yeah. I don't know if it's just because she's always felt that her power has been like God's blessed or whatever. You know, they always reference that. But yeah.
Interesting. I highlighted this as well, just because obviously it's a crazy note. I had already read it and I was writing in my notes for this episode. I was thinking more about this, and I'm wondering if she will seal her Brimstone rune the same way, where she like just kind of like goes all in a moment and just kind of gives herself up to it. Because right now she has gone all into holding Archer and is just like giving up, like it's hurting me, but this is worth it kind of a thing, and like is kind of let go of any restraint in that as far as holding him. So maybe that will inadvertently seal that too.
Well,
I
that'd
don't
be
know.
nice.
Trying to
Be
connect it to
quick and
Brimstone.
easy.
because that's the title of the book. I mean, this was quick and easy. If you think about that, like this happened in 2 seconds.
So another thought here, do you think that when you were talking about last episode, how like their powers are kind of being used at like simultaneously, basically, do you think that that needs to happen for them, for either of them or both of them to seal a rune? Like, do both of them need to be expending their power?
I would
at like
think
the same time or
not,
whatever.
only because there's been a bajillion other alchemists, and some of them were children when they learned to seal their runes or whatever. Isn't that like a normal basic thing for like an acolyte or whatever it was? And I would assume not everybody had a mate, or that god bindings is so rare or whatever. I don't know.
I assumed that kingfishers were just a reflection of Ceres's, just where those specific runes were concerned.
Well, so that's going to be my next question. Like, if she seals another one, are they just going to keep showing up on him?
I think they're already there, right?
Are those part of like the god bindings?
Yeah, I thought that.
Like,
well, I thought
different
so.
Runes?
Pretty sure they're all just like tangled on her.
I thought they were part of the god bindings because then it said the. I thought that it said the one for Quicksilver on him was just now a different color. It was now like the blue, metallic blue black.
Mm-hmm.
But he's got he still has all the runes like tattooed and stuff.
I think so. I think it's part of the god bindings. I'm not 100% sure, but I would assume, because he's not an alchemist, so I would assume that if they are mirrored on him, that it would just continue as like a reflection of whatever is on her, so that they match. Cute.
I wonder if she
I don't know.
can just like tell the Quicksilver in his eye to like get out of there, like go on.
At this point, yeah.
Because she can just control it however she wants.
Go on, get.
Exactly.
Didn't she try like talking to it before?
Yeah, but that was before she could literally just be like, bam, 2 swords and all this extra cool stuff. Like,
I don't need no forge. Get on out of there.
bam. That's how it sounded. That was the sound effect.
Yeah.
You have to read between the lines to get that stuff.
When they make the movie, they'll bring Lauren in for that part.
That one part. But bam, they'll just sound clip this episode.
Yeah, exactly. I did have another quick God's Watch. The Quicksilver was saying to Ceres, and you would employ your power to achieve that end. There was something sly in the speaker's tone. I couldn't think of it as the Quicksilver. It was something more than sentient portal magic, and it was trying to trick me. So I don't know if you would call this like God's Watch specifically, because we have no idea, but I thought it was interesting that she kept referring to it as the speaker now instead of the Quicksilver.
Yeah. Well, because even Kingfisher heard it as like one voice, not lots and lots of voices. So whatever that is. I was really confused in this section. I had to read it a couple times because I was really like, the Quicksilver called her the Pretender and the Blight and a curse worker or something. And I was like, oh my gosh, what does this mean? Foreshadowing, blah, blah, blah. And then it was like, it's just tricking me. And I was like, wait, what? So is that all just it trying to like trick her out of, I don't know, confidence? And she was like, no, I am Ceres Faye. And that was like the moment. Is that what's happening?
I think the trick was to get her to try to respond like quote unquote most people would, where she was saying like, there's nothing I would stop for. Like that's what it felt like it was trying to trick her into saying. But she was like, no, I would, like I'd stop for Kingfisher. And it was like, okay, you're good.
You passed.
So then what's the whole point in calling it her a pretender and all of that?
I don't know, just to freak her out, yeah, I guess.
Yeah, it felt like just some like mind games trying to make her less sure of herself.
Which good on her for once to be like, you know, after so much time spent in the Fae being like, maybe there's something else to this deal I'm making.
True. And then right before Ceres gets thrown out of the Quicksilver says the pathway is clear, or I should say the speaker, that's what she's still referring to it as. The pathway is clear. Receive this gift all in fear and trembling. In the end, it will be your end. And I just wrote, I don't know what the F this means, but this is something I don't want to forget about.
Like she dies by Quicksilver?
Props.
I don't know.
Props.
Like, what's the pathway? What is the gift? The rune being like sealed, but you're supposed to receive it in fear and trembling because it's gonna kill you. I don't know.
Either because it's gonna kill you, or it was saying like this is a very powerful thing. Because I mean, she literally did reforge a sword into 2 in the moment. So like,
Yeah,
you could use it for great good or great evil.
with great
You gotta
power.
respect it.
Yeah.
Respect the pouch. Sorry.
Yeah. Chapter 27. What's done is done. Kingfisher POV.
You're not going to give your note?
Well, no, it was crazy.
Yeah. I think when I wrote that note for you, because we were listening to it together, I had already read it. But the way that she read it, it was like, in the end, it will be your end. And I wrote, your stupid ass.
All right.
Come on.
Anyway, moving into chapter 27. What's done is done. Kingfisher POV. They are back talking to Elroy here, and he mentions that there were some like things that were burned up, or some like pages or something that were burned up. They were asking him about these, and he said they burned up in a fire when he was about 15. My father was fond of an afternoon whiskey or 5. It was the only thing that helped with the voices. And I know we just talked about this a little bit, but this made me think that maybe he was from an alchemist line. We just talked about that. But I just like, this brought up so many questions for me. Like, okay, so like, how long have they been there? Like, where did he come from? Where did he go? All the really important questions, you know?
Go on.
That's funny. Yeah, we kind of already talked about that this is where I had left my note about if they are alchemists or not. And then I think in your chapter recap at the beginning, you said too that like Saris and Elroy were like helping with the Quicksilver, but I don't think Saris knew about it, right? It was just Elroy and like Elroy's family.
Well, she was the one that removed the Quicksilver from whatever they found.
Was she?
Yeah. He said whatever, like if they found something and there was a trace of Quicksilver, like that's how they got it all like removed, and it was all just pieces of metal before it turned into a pool when she was gone.
Oh, okay. Because how would have his whole family done it before?
That's what I'm saying.
Oh, okay.
That's what I thought too, because I thought his
his
dad was fond of an afternoon whiskey or 5 to help with the voices because he was doing it. And then Elroy chose not to do it because he didn't want to go crazy like that. But luckily Saris was there and seemed unaffected by the voices.
Okay.
Maybe.
That's what I thought.
Okay.
This is one that I want to like
could see
super
that.
Google and see what other people are saying about it, but
Super
try
Google.
But that is
I'll try not
Super
to till the
Google.
end of the book.
it is interesting though. Like I feel like Saris probably knew what she was doing, like removing one alloy from another. And maybe it was just that. Maybe she just thought she was like separating alloys, but she obviously didn't know like what it was. So maybe that was where Elroy came in, being like, he knew what it was, so he was able to be like, hey, we'll just keep all this type of stuff down in the basement. Go walk 200 steps down.
Take the secret door.
Yeah, or
I
maybe
don't think
he was
she knew
the
about
only
the
one
secret
doing it.
door.
I
feel like she
don't
would have
think she
mentioned
did.
that.
Oh yeah. Oh well, yeah, that's true. Probably not. So maybe he was just the one, like she would separate it, and that would be her.
Yeah.
Maybe that's how he had her
know.
practice. Like
Because
she
he-
would separate the alloys, and then he would take the Quicksilver and put it down there.
Because he acted like once she started showing signs of the stuff, that's why he kept her away. And he's like, I felt so bad about always kicking her out and like never letting her be around because the metal was always shaking when she was near, and I didn't want people to know about her power or whatever.
Yeah.
So I don't.
But it's
I don't
like
know.
they had to have done enough of it to have the largest Quicksilver pool that at least Fisher's ever seen.
Well, yeah, if his family's been
So-
doing it for 1,000 years or however long Carrion's been there, it makes sense that there would be a bajillion.
Oh, I see what. Yeah. I see what you mean.
Yeah, he could have maybe not done much of it at all in his own lifetime.
Yeah.
For apprenticeship or whatever. I don't know. It's
Yeah.
almost like
Yeah.
there's just a whole half of this book that I'm missing or something.
Something like 45% just feels like it's not there.
And guess what? We probably won't get answers to this until
Probably not.
next book.
Till
or-
book 3.
Well, another question that I had was one from Fisher's POV as well, where he said, what had been in those papers that they could have damned Saris? And I said, excellent question, my guy. I don't know why nobody was asking. I mean, Elroy probably wouldn't have answered anyway, but
Well, but then doesn't it go on to say that like he thinks he knows, but he didn't want to think about it or something like that? And
yeah,
I'm just
of
like,
course.
come
Of course,
on,
you don't
man.
want to think about it because this is your POV chapter.
Yeah,
Rude.
come on.
We'll think about it later when we're at Saris's POV.
Exactly.
My goodness. So yeah, so this is where he said he stopped refining the Quicksilver 5 years ago. Yeah, because he was refining it or whatever. And that there were stacks of discarded pieces of armor and the coins and chalices and trunks overflowing with all manner of metals and goods. That's from chapter 25. So, like, was he still collecting things that were made with Quicksilver? Even after like this giving up 5 years stuff? Or are all of these things down there just what his family has collected over years and years and years and years, and he's just sitting on a treasure trove in Zilvarin? Like, is all of this waiting to be turned for, like, taking the Quicksilver out of it? You see what I'm saying? Or is it just like, chilling?
If he stopped refining it 5 years ago, I bet he stopped collecting it a little earlier than that. Because why would he collect more if he's not planning to use it or draw attention to him and Ceres by collecting it?
Keep it off the streets.
Yeah, because that's what Zilvarin needs.
Yeah, it doesn't need Quicksilver on the streets. Okay, and then I think it's Kingfisher who says, or maybe it's Elroy, but says that she's the only alchemist that we know of. And then Carrion's like, that we know of, stressing each word, that we know of. What if there are others? What if? And I was like, why are we just now asking this question, everyone? Like, are we serious? Like, I'm sure some other people, maybe Kingfisher or whoever, is thinking that. But like the fact that even Carrion, or the fact Ceres hasn't asked that, it's just mind blowing.
Yep. Yeah. It's nuts. Another thing I'm not sure why we're not yet questioning is in Fisher's POV, it says the remaining Quicksilver in my eye was far more active when Ceres was around. When she wasn't, it echoed her mood somehow. It was hard to explain. Even now, it was as if I could feel her just inches away. And this is when they're still separated. First of all, this is just weird, and I'm not sure why he doesn't think it's weird, but I'm guessing this is related to, again, this is still theorizing because I don't know, but the Quicksilver being more of like a vessel, like how we were speculating that Fisher and Ceres kept hearing Anorath more from the Quicksilver in book 1 before realizing it was all the like unalived people in the stadium shouting that right above a Quicksilver pool. I don't know. I don't know if it's because she's not always even in close proximity to it, I guess. Is she? Unless it's Solace. Like, does she need to be in close proximity, or is it just because she's an alchemist and she's maybe spoken with this Quicksilver in his eye before? Like, I don't know.
In this moment, she's in the Quicksilver pool, isn't she? Or she's like about to be. So she's running that way or whatever.
Yes.
So at least here she's close
I think
to
so.
it. I don't know about all the other times, but.
Yeah. And I mean, it was, he just says when she wasn't near, it echoed her mood somehow. I don't know. I just think it's weird. That's all.
All right. Chapter 28, Seneschal, Ceres POV. As soon as the Quicksilver started moving, I knew that it wasn't going to be the Zilvarin crew. I'm like, it's too easy. They're not just going to show up, like, you know. And then when Arias shows up, it says, rising from the Quicksilver came 2 more figures, then 3 more. Fae guards dressed in green velvet with arrows knocked in their bows. And I was like, oh, shit, it's about to go down.
And I was like, what is it with everyone in velvet in this book? They're also wearing green
Excellent
velvet.
question.
Yeah, it's bougie.
What'd you say at the
We
beginning?
go into battle,
bullshit.
but bougie. Yeah, and then as they get talking, Arias brings up how Danya, Lorith, Renfist, they're all, you know, they have all sworn the oath in front of the Stone. And Ceres was like, this bastard was right. Every single member of the Fae who fought and defended the banks of the Darn at Erin had pledged to serve the Winter Palace, to serve Belicon, my friends and my mates included. And we kind of had a little bit of a conversation about this, but my first thoughts of this were, this makes it sound like that they're sworn to Belicon himself and not just like a general Fae oath. Because when they were describing doing the whole Stone thing, they made it sound like it was just like a general, you can either be a liar or, you know, live the rest of your life as a liar or, you know, be truthful or whatever.
Yeah, and so we went back and looked it up in book 1 because it does seem like this is maybe just an inconsistency. I don't know if they just like changed the definition of this from book 1 to book 2, but in Quicksilver it says, this was Lorith explaining it to Ceres here. When we turn 21, we kneel before the Stone and make our decision. Every one of us, we have a choice. Bleed on the stone and make our vow to always be truthful, to be bound by our word no matter what it costs us. Or we choose the lawless path. A lawless Fae may lie, they may cheat, they may steal. Useful tools in many situations, but they come with a price that we were not willing to pay, our honor. So they don't really mention anything, at least in book 1, about this being an oath to serve the Winter Palace and Belicon, but that's specifically how Orias is mentioning it here. So it could be that like they sell it a little bit differently to Fae that they're trying to convince to take the oath. But it does seem
Belicon lie? What?
Oh, what?
Never.
Well, it could be that they,
Yeah.
they could swear the oath to always be truthful, and then if they say to Belicon, like, okay, yeah, we're going to serve you, then if they don't, that makes them a liar.
Or your court,
by
or
like a
your-
retroactive lie.
Yeah.
maybe.
Yeah.
If it
That
works
would be-
in with liar rules, I guess. I don't know.
That would have been my guess, is that like because they joined the army or whatever, that by doing that they just, swore fealties to him being the king, and we just like
Yeah.
we don't get info on like a literal
Yeah.
oath to Belicon there.
Right,
It's just
yeah.
they joined the army, so because they also made that oath in front of the Stone, then they're just kind of held to that standard basically.
Yeah. And I could see that too. Like, if Lorith was the one explaining this, I could see that piece of it just kind of being a given to him
Right.
because
Oh,
of
yeah.
like, that's where they live. And that's like Sanus Roth has always been the enemy. And so that was just like what you do. You just, if you're joining, like, that's who you fight. And this is who you're fighting for. So I could see that. When we first read it, I was like, this seems like they totally like changed the
Yeah.
thing. But it could have just been explained differently because of the POV.
With her being new to everything too, him just maybe not wanting to go into like the hundreds of years of history, and it just,
Yeah.
I'm just going to give you
That's
the
true, too.
basic
Yep.
sweep of it.
He could also just be lying to her, too. I mean,
Yeah.
I guess if he's
What?
can tell the truth, I guess, if he's also not a lawless Fae. But
Yeah. I
Well,
mean,
later.
yeah, we don't know that he took the oath.
oh yeah,
Later, she kind of alludes to the fact that he's lying.
Yeah, because he's like, you know what, me? You can trust me.
Yeah.
What do you mean?
good point. Good point. Well, in the last episode, Kyle was trying to explain this, that they were all like bound to Belicon, and I like shut it down. I was like, no, that's not it. That's not true. And then it kind of is. So sorry, Kyle. I didn't know it yet, in my defense. And then my only actual written note here from this whole section is that I keep saying Finrin Stone, not the Finrin Stone. Like every time I'm reading it, the Finrin Stone. I'm like, wait, what? Where's Finrin? I'm like, oh yeah, just the stone. My bad.
And then we get to one of my favorite parts of this chapter when she reforges Solace. Placing both hands around Solace's hilt, I imagined the sword becoming two. When I drew my hands apart, I knew that the god sword would be reformed, brand new, brilliant, and shining. And so it was. The short swords were beautiful. Old Fae ran along the edges of both honed blades, engraved in winding script. And I was like, I am so here for this, dude. Like, this was so sick. And I do love a good double sword, a good dual wield, almost as much as I love a good decap, but dual wield is pretty
Close second.
pretty
What
solid.
about a decap
And we get both
from
of
the
those
double
things.
sword?
Oh,
Yeah.
now you're talking. Yep, now you're talking.
Oh my
Speaking my
gosh.
language, Kyle.
Well, also the fact that like the swords, it says they halved to accommodate the new split weapons. It was twice the power and it was electrifying. So
Yeah.
that's super cool. And then with this whole like electrifying thing too, she says that she scythed the right god sword at him, the weapon trailing blue white light behind it, and slit the male's throat wide open. So it's like literally looks like a
Yeah.
trail of light behind it. It's epic
Sick.
scene. Super epic.
So cool.
My actual note when she split them in half was 2 swords, because that had to be here. I feel like people are expecting it at this point.
Yeah.
And then also in the middle of the fight, she set her jaw. So drinky drinkies.
Oh, wow. Time for drinkies in the middle of the
Thanks,
action.
Saris.
Yum.
And then, and Kyle kind of teed it up here. Kingfisher emerges from the Quicksilver, and it says a black rope lashed around the closest male's throat, and suddenly his head was no longer attached to his body. Hell yeah, decap.
Decap.
So we got some
Yeah.
dual wield and some decap right here in the same action sequence. Amazing.
I love that for you.
Thanks.
Sarah's being able to like actually physically manifest the shield that everyone keeps talking about in front of her was really cool. It's kind of giving like a Doctor Strange energy to me. She's like,
Yes.
doing this whole little thing.
Dr.
But-
Saris.
Yeah. But anyway, I'm really excited to see what that could also do or be, or the ways that she'll get to use that. So that's really cool.
Yeah. My next note, I was going to have Lauren start if you'd like to, because I knew you'd have it highlighted.
It makes me happy that you did too. Oh, Con highlighted the good girl here in the middle of a fight scene too, and I was literally kicking. I wrote, I always giggle and wiggle a little bit. I just have to like every time. So good.
Giggle and wiggle.
This doesn't always get me, but this one really caught me off guard. And I was listening to this scene in the car in like a drive-through line, and Kingfisher said
Brave.
"good girl," and I went, "Oh!"
Yeah. I love that. It's like it's
Then I
not
looked around.
expected in the middle of the fight scene.
Yeah, but it was great. 10 out
I
of
hope
10.
it happened right when you pulled up. Just like pull up. What can I get for you? Good girl. Whoa.
Whoa.
They start giving you like free food. Sure, yeah. Come on. Up the second window.
At Chick-fil-A.
It was at Chick-fil-A, actually.
My pleasure.
Oh my God.
My note here was, as Kingfisher sort of basically has his boot on Orias's neck, Sarah starts swooning over Kingfisher in her head, saying like, this man, like I cupped his stubbly cheek in my hand, oh, blah, blah, blah. And I can only picture like Orias suffocating with a boot on his neck, watching these two like make eyes at each other, just being like, yeah, am I interrupting something? Like, can we just kill me or move on, dude?
Just end it already.
It's like 2 paragraphs of them looking at each other, and he's just like,
And they, after they get done kind of talking through, she kills the final 2 guards, whatever. They're talking about sending Arias back to the Winter Palace. And she tells Fisher, Bellicon needs to know what I'm now capable of, that he will never bend us to his will. All of this and more. And like, so me and Con were together in the car. We were listening to this. I've added a little bit. But this is by far, it's got to be the worst decision that she has ever made so far in this book. And I have some reasons why. First off, this just lets Bellicon prepare for what Ceres can do now. Like, they obviously thought that she hadn't sealed any of her runes, and she has, and now they have that information. This is stuff that they didn't know before. So now she's just letting them have that for free. Second, like, my question was, is Arias an alchemist? Initially, I was thinking that he was because he was able to come through the Quicksilver, but then I was like, oh, well, Ceres was the one to do that, so he could have come through it. But that I still question if he is or not. But either way, wouldn't the daggers had to have been made by one, the Null daggers? And like, they didn't try to get any further information about that from this guy. They're new. He knows about them, but they're like, nah. Well, it's not a big deal. And then thirdly, you are queen of Sanisroth. Bite this motherfucker and enthrall him and send him back to spy on Bellicon. But no,
cool.
they give him a little naughty boy slap on the tush and send him back to his master.
Yep.
Like, bad boy. No, go back to Bellicon, and they kick him through. And I have the gif here of Ace Ventura when he just does like the point and the thumbs up. Like, great job, guys. This was just kind of like a big, this was not great for me.
The only thing I could think about the daggers is if it was in any way intentional for them to leave one behind. I don't know why it would be. But it's like a new sort of, maybe just like something to throw them off, or maybe to use them to their own ends. But otherwise, hard to agree on everything else. But like, I don't know what they were thinking.
Yeah, they should have sent some like nameless know nothing guard, one of the other dudes. Like, if they're gonna send someone, why send back his like right hand man or whatever? Like,
his freaking advisor.
Yeah, not only are you like giving them all your information, but you're also keeping him probably like a major player in the game. And I don't know. I agree with everything you said.
Yeah. When you were talking about, like, wouldn't an alchemist had to have made the null blades, but like Ceres is very affected by it. So I would be curious to see if she's able to like work with it at all, or if it would just, because it does seem to be like nullifying her powers. Yeah. So then I was thinking, like, would the witches have had anything to do with this? But they like hate Bellicon.
Right.
So I don't know how he would have, even if the witches did help craft them somehow, I don't know how he would have gotten his hands on them.
Didn't he like chase them around? Wasn't that a whole thing? He like was following them in a weird path around the forest or something.
Playing hide and seek.
Never
You're
mind.
not. Here I come.
I kind of would, and obviously we probably will, to see how it affected the feeder at the end of this chapter section.
Oh, yeah.
And then I'd almost be curious if it has anything to do with maybe material from the infection. Like they used the infection itself to
Oh, the rot is like part of the
rot.
blade.
Maybe. I don't know.
Because even though what was interesting is and I don't think anybody really has a note on this later, but what was interesting is that it said it absorbed the dagger, but then when it died, the dagger was the only thing that was left.
Right, yeah.
Yeah.
So it's like, well, okay, so it didn't.
So brimstone doesn't affect it either.
Yeah.
I feel like it can't
Oh, yeah,
be
that's true. Well,
I feel like it can't be the rot that's involved in it because they said Bellicon doesn't forget, or the Winter Palace didn't forget. And it was talking about
yeah, that's true.
alchemists,
yeah.
how alchemists can't use it or something. Like the rot wasn't around way
that's true.
back whenever
That we know of.
that we know of.
So
Not,
That's
though.
it.
So yeah, so would this be, well, I guess if it affects Tal too, I was thinking if they made this to specifically target alchemists, but even Tal mentioned something about how it feels weird and he's like holding it with the handkerchief or whatever, so that wouldn't be it.
Something otherworldly, something between the dimensions of the gods.
I can't foresee like some normal forge master, if you want to say that, like having made these things.
Right.
But the witches is a very interesting thought.
Or it's the pirates, and that's when we're finally going to go
Totally.
to
Yeah.
Terran Ross Island and see the mermaids and the sea dragons on our
That's
way
right.
Yeah.
They're mermaid blades. They're
'Cause
mermaids.
You could make blades out of things other than metal. I don't know if she explicitly said it was metal, but I mean, like obsidian was used in, primitive weaponry back in the day. It was just as good as some softer metals.
there. And Amon Traeth is made of obsidian and demon bones.
Well, there
So,
you go. Yeah, use a
mean-
demon bone. Well, they're not doing anything with them.
Oh, good idea.
Not for many lifetimes.
Okay, well, I know that my theory of Foley being the cat guru seems to be debunked this chapter section, since the cat and Foley have now been seen in the same room together. We'll get there. But I just feel like there's still something with shifters maybe, or something like that, because there's two other instances in this chapter section where somebody is related very similar to an animal. And the first one is here with this guy. What's his name again? Orias. Yeah, and it
Orias.
said there was something rodent-like about him. The way he moved across the cold stone made me think of a rat. And I was like, well, if they're shifters, this guy's one of them. I don't know if
It's
that's
Peter
true.
Pettigrew.
But yeah, that's what he is.
Figured it out. Don't
All
die,
right.
please.
Around this spot, we're listening in the car. We paused the book here to go to dinner, and as we were talking about this, I had said that I definitely think now they are going to have to go to Nevercross, because I feel like they're going to be forced to evacuate like Sanisroth and Kalish at some point due to the rot. They're going to need a safer place to stay, and I feel like Nevercross is pretty much the only other place that they can go. They can't go to the Winter Palace now anymore, and they've got the connection through Ishabal, so...
Yeah, this also kind of blew my mind when he said that, because I had already finished the chapter section and he had not. And the last chapter, like, there's clearly an infected feeder at Kalish. So it does seem like all of these places that were previously safe are not going to be safe anymore. Again, that could be Nevercross. It could be Terran Ross Island. We'll see. I feel like Nevercross is much more likely, because right now we don't really have any connections to Terran Ross Island. But we'll get there. They added it to the map for a reason. Then this was a random comment from Kingfisher to Saris, and this is sort of, speaking to my theories about where we're going. But Kingfisher says, rabid mountain trolls couldn't drag me away from you now. So we are going to go through the Galarian mountains to get to Nevercross, because I was also thinking, like, we would just encounter some of the creatures from Carrion's book, because his book was like Fae creatures of the Galarian mountains or something. But we're already getting pretty specific, so... There's that.
When she said this, I was thinking not everything is a hint.
Okay, but why would
That's
she
just my
just
thought.
make up rabid mountain trolls to put into this line?
I feel like, why
Like
would you
being
say that at
romantic.
all, Kingfisher? That's
I
kind of an
know.
awkward thing to throw into something
Yeah.
that could have been a little bit more romantic.
Exactly.
If I was Sarah, I'd be like,
feels-
why are you even bringing them up right now, dude?
Yeah, weirdly specific.
She's like, I've never seen one of those. I don't know what you mean by that.
You guys have rabid mountain trolls here?
Yeah.
My next note was just Sarah's noticing a change between Kingfisher and Carrion's dynamic, saying, "My mate didn't even grumble as he loosened his hold on me and turned to face him." And I said, "Yeah, they're in love now, Sarah." And then looking at Carrion, said, "There were angry welts all over his neck and a couple on his cheeks too." And I was like, "Yeah, those are hickeys. They're in love, Sarah. So you got to catch up. Come on. They've been alone for like a couple days."
Those are hickeys.
On his face.
Yeah, neck and face, you know.
Oh, wow.
You know how it goes.
You know how Kingfisher is.
Okay, this is just another silly Lauren note here that I probably didn't have to add to the episode, but it's here now anyway. So this is the very last line of this chapter when Carrion, like, you know, is holding an unconscious body. And I was like, oh my God, what happened to Hayden? What happened? Oh my gosh, something happened in the fight. Like, he's going to be dead. He got here and now he's dead. And then he's just like shot a roguish wink. I think this belongs to you. And it was like 0.2 seconds later that I was like, oh yeah, they're unconscious when they come through the Quicksilver. It's fine.
It's fine. Everybody's
All
fine.
straight.
And everybody's fine at the end of this chapter, section 2. Chapter 29, Fortunes of the Universe, Sarah's POV. I thought it was really odd at the beginning of this where they mentioned that Taylena was not able to heal Saris after she's sealed her Quicksilver rune. I don't really understand why that would affect how healing magic would work on her, especially if Taylena's never encountered this issue before, but I felt like that was worth, because it said it was phrased like it ran off her like water, like she was just completely untouched by it. I have a very interesting note about Adina / Kingfisher's name. Archer was talking about the little ceramic bird that one of the other sprites picked up, and he said Adina was so taken by it that on Kingfisher's first birthday, she announced people should call her son Kingfisher. She set that ornament there herself on that shelf when the master was just a failing. She didn't like anyone to touch it. And when I first read that, I was like, okay, is there something specific like inside the ceramic bird, or like if she doesn't want anyone to touch it and it's specifically supposed to stay there? But hearing that and then some of the stuff about the flowers later just had me on like high alert.
Maybe his like
in here
name is on a paper inside of it or something like that.
Right?
Like his real name. I don't know.
Exactly.
I kind of just took it as one of those classic, like, you don't touch grandma's knickknacks sort of things. Like, it's where she wants it to be,
There's
and
that
if it
one
breaks,
hutch.
you're dead.
You leave it alone.
Yeah.
But that also could have been her way of ensuring that this information made it
Yes, that's what I'm saying.
to other people without like directly being like, now Archer, when this person comes here on this specific date, you're going to tell them this, this, and this. Like, it could just be, it was just ingrained in like her routine or something. I don't know.
It sounds like what she would do. It's
Yeah.
how she's done it so far,
Classic
so.
Adina.
Ugh,
Yeah.
Classic. Okay, so we already know that Saris took books out of the library at Amontreath, but now she has taken them to Kalish, and that freaks me out a lot more than just her just taking them out, only because King, like Belicon could show up, or somebody else, I guess, could show up to this place, right? Like, I know that there's wards and stuff, but he's like never stepped foot in Sanisroth or whatever, so I don't know. It just freaks me out. And I'm keeping my memories that we did. First of all, didn't even see Algot this time. And I don't know if that's freaking me out, if she's up to something or whatever. Because we were in the library multiple times and she was never around. And then, yeah, that she just keeps taking these books. It's just stressing me out.
That's true.
So
Yeah.
keeping it fresh in my mind.
Yeah. I just have another quick God's Watch here when Kingfisher tells Saris like what her short sword names mean in Old Fae. And Saris replies, the gods named my swords for me then. And then Fisher says, maybe those are traits they decided to bless you with. So that's just another one. I don't know.
Yeah. They are cool names.
Yeah.
So there's at least that. This kind of goes with what John was talking about, I think, in the chapter recap. I think is when you mentioned it. Yeah, John, it's you. So I don't remember who's speaking here. I think it's Kingfisher. And he says, the wards that prevent him from coming here also prevent his compulsion, his being Belicon's. So the wards that prevent Belicon from coming here also prevent his compulsions from reaching us. As long as we stay here in Kalish or in Amontreath, we're all fine. And even if we do leave these lands, we would have to be in his physical presence for him to command us. And there's no way he's leaving the Winter Palace, ... And I'm like, okay, like we've already seen him leave once when we were at this like whole battle in Gilthrai. And then What if they have to go back to Zul'Varin? Like, Kingfisher wants to go back there to defeat Madra. Belicon could show up there. He literally, at the end of this, sent Lorith to Nevercross or wherever Ishabal is. Ren is out there somewhere. Like, no one is safe. Everybody should be freaked out. And they're not acting like that. But I think they should be. So, yeah, not cool. And then Kingfisher says, "Are you okay?" Like looking at her veins. And she says, "I noticed it, of course. The veins that had once been green-blue, they're now shown metallic silver through my skin." So she just has Quicksilver in her skin now? In her bloodstream?
In her blood, yeah.
Question mark?
She is Quicksilver.
She is Quicksilver. But does that go with what you talked about earlier where it said, like, this is also your end or whatever? And I was like, so Quicksilver's how she dies? Is she going to go crazy because the Quicksilver? I don't know.
Well, it also said she had to learn how to take, what was it, Quicksilver, salt, and brimstone into her, and like,
Oh,
maybe,
yeah.
maybe that's just
And
part
like
of the process.
marry them within herself or something.
Yeah, like a polycule.
Yeah. Exactly like a polycule.
That's how they work, from what I know.
So internally, she's like, "Okay, I now pronounce you Tria Prima. You may seal your runes."
My one and only note from this chapter was in the midst of their foreplay, as Kingfisher's listing all the things he loves about her, and he's like, "Oh, your voice and your laugh and the way you can't shut doors properly." And Sarah said, all right, I think that's enough of that, thank you. And my note was, yeah, me like 3 pages ago. Can we move on?
Like 20 pages ago.
It sounds like John last chapter section.
Yep.
And we end this chapter with a quick tattoo watch. The ink on the back of Fisher's hand had changed. The Quicksilver rune was solid now, marked in metallic blue-black. So that's the quote pulled there, that it was just solid now, not that it was new. So I think how we were talking about that earlier, I think it was already there. It just had changed color now. But also, a swirl of ink ripples away from Ceres's god bindings and transfers to Kingfisher's skin just below his collarbone. But we don't know what that one is yet, right? That was the last mention of it. And she was like, "I'll just let him find that in the mirror later." So, can't wait to see what that is. Does anybody have a guess? Do you want to take bets
Thug life.
on what it is?
No regrets. Spelled wrong.
Oh, that's good, Kyle.
I love the idea of having a butterfly tattoo, but I want it to be like a tramp stamp, not under his collarbone.
Yeah, a butterfly on a collarbone wouldn't make sense. Butterflies go on wrists or tramp stamps, you're right. Those are the only two places.
These are the rules in any realm.
We don't make them.
What if they're all like getting these weird lines and stuff, and then if you just line up their bodies the right way, it spells a word.
Whoa.
They're practicing lining up all the time. So
Yeah, they're practicing lining up their bodies.
Ace of Hearts.
Ace of Hearts.
It's Carrion's face. That's
Yeah.
It's been a prank this whole time.
What if it's like a crown? I don't know. I feel like it's probably something, I don't want to say embarrassing. She seemed to be humored by it. Like, I'm going to let him just see that
Property
later.
of Ceres.
I would, yeah. I wouldn't think that it would just be a line. I feel like it's like an object or something. Maybe it's a little fox. Maybe it's
Yeah, I
onyx.
was just thinking of that. Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
That is cute. I would love that,
That'd
actually.
be cute.
I think Kingfisher would love
Me
it too.
Yeah, he would.
That's cute. All right, well, that takes us to chapter 30. This is called Leash. It is Ceres' POV. And it is the best couple sentences ever, don't you think?
No,
Con?
no, I don't. I don't think that. My first note is just the gif from The Office of Michael Scott going, "No, God, please, no. No." I will not be discussing this further. Thank you.
Lovely. Let me discuss it for you. It's when Everlane is like freaking out and Carrion is there and says, "I was up in the bedroom across the way, absolutely minding my own business, ... Explains how he came in. And then Kingfisher asks Daniel what was she doing, and she goes, "I was also minding my own business." It's very funny. So, I mean, I know it's not like word for word what they were doing, but I mean,
They were getting down
they
to
were
business.
doing it. They were.
Yeah.
Oh, they were minding some
Keep in
business.
mind, too, like, they flirted before Carrion left, and this was the first thing they did when he got back. So it was on his mind that whole time. He's like, when I get back, I have to mind my own business.
I also wonder, because he didn't have Simon, and when they got back, Kingfisher was like, "Where's Simon?" And he's like, "Oh, let me go get it." And then the next time we see him, he has Simon. So I'm like, did he leave it with Danya? Is that what he did while he was gone?
Interesting.
Showing her a sword.
Maybe.
Gotta do whatever Simon says.
Oh.
Moving on. We're talking about Everlane now.
That was good, guys.
New foreplay for them.
This is serious business. Shh. In Sarah's POV. Because now we're on Everlane. Sarah says, I felt what Taylena had felt. A dark hand hovering over my friend, pressing her down into the wet soils of hell. It's kind of a gross wording there. And she was not alone in that place. Lane's eyelids flew open again. Her tongue protruded awkwardly from her mouth, wet with saliva. Her teeth were stained red. The gate is open, a dread voice said, speaking from her mouth. It cannot be closed. The gate is open. The gate is open. The gate is. And then as soon as Saris removes her hand, the voice stops. So, first of all, just a question for the group. Who or what do we think this is? I don't know what this means, but I do think it's interesting that it only, even though Taylena had just put her hand down, this voice is only speaking while Saris is touching Lane. So is this a message for Saris specifically?
I don't know, but I do find it interesting that it repeats the gate is open just after the Quicksilver told Saris that the pathway is open.
Yeah, well, it says the pathway's clear.
The pathway's clear.
When I just went and looked it up.
Clear.
Yeah, I was thinking that too. I don't know. To me, it's giving that Everlane is in the upside down.
Yep.
She's Will Byers. That's all I got.
Yeah.
That's my only explanation.
Wake up, Everlane. Everlane, wake up. I don't like this.
I don't like this.
That's what's happening.
Yeah.
And that there's like,
So is that-
when they look in her
is this
eyes and they could
Vecna
see
then?
like a figure walking or something, it was Vecna. Yeah.
Okay. So that's okay. Great. Got
It's a
it.
crossover.
Locked it. Love that.
Yeah. No, I actually wonder if the figure could be like Malcolm. I think I have notes on this later about Saris having this like weird memories of things Tal has done because there's memories in the blood. And so maybe Everlane has something similar if Malcolm's, if Everlane was like the last person he transitioned or whatever, or sired, I guess. So I don't know.
Ooh.
And if Malcolm's really dead or if he's weirdly stuck somehow, or I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know how any of that works, but
I don't either. I still don't think he's dead.
yeah.
But if Fedina can speak through her, I would think that maybe Malcolm could, depending on where his soul is being kept in storage. I don't know.
Well, and it would make sense why Bellicon would actually want Everlane back. Like, he wants her back, and we could say it's because he's a good dad, but like, has he ever been one of those? So it could be something else.
Interesting.
What's the whole thing again with when somebody like gives their soul? Like which person?
A piece of their soul.
Which person has to like die first? What's the order there again?
It's
For the soul to be returned or
Like
whatever.
if I gave a piece of my soul to you in this world, then if I died, my soul would stick around with you until you died.
But if you died first, it would just go back to Kyle like normal.
Yeah.
Right.
So
yeah.
if
So what
he-
if Malcolm did that to Everlane?
Yeah.
As
part of his
almost
soul
like
is with
a
her.
like an insurance policy kind of thing for himself.
or do you think it's possible that the three of them did that, like the triumvirate did that with each other?
That could be in a weird.
Can you do it
twisted,
twice?
creepy way. Well, if they all
Why
just did
not?
one
Or just
around the triangle.
Yeah. Yeah, like a massage train.
You know.
You scratch my back, I'll scratch yours. Sort of thing. What if
You
Everlane
Horcrux your
just,
soul to me?
What if she's just exceptionally attached to the spirit realm, and because Adina's spoken through her, Malcolm's spoken through her,
Yeah.
maybe she just has some weird magic going on in her as well that she does not have full control of. It could be demons.
Yeah, that was another thought. I think I have something about that in my theories as well.
Oh,
Yeah.
Well,
Okay, well, Kingfisher takes all of this information and comes up with a game plan. And one of the things is that they are going to abandon the border and move all of their forces somewhere else. And Danya questions it and says, "We're abandoning the border?" Danya worked her jaw. So drinkies for Danya, Con.
not for Danya.
No, it's for
In
her.
spite of Daniel.
It's for the drinkies.
Because of her. Anyways, the next thing is Lorith. He's told to go get Ishabal, and it says Lorith's response to the command was visceral, and then he like gets all up in his face, and then it's finally like, okay, I'll go get her or whatever. And I just need to know. I need to know what it means, and I want them to be in love forever.
I can't wait for her to come back. I miss her.
Fellow redhead.
Yeah.
Let's go
With
to
a cute
her.
accent.
I want us all to go there.
Yeah.
She can come back, I guess, but I don't know. I'd like to learn new things. And then this is when they finally get back to Stannisroth, and the Quicksilver pool is, the doors to it are all guarded up and stuff, and they break through. And it was those two guards from the tavern or whatever that were there. And there's just this whole comment about the guy having a baby hand and how it's growing back. So I'm like, this is such a random world building fact that we're gonna keep in the book and see
to
his
include
little,
twice.
I know. To
This
see
is
his, like,
what, because
little
it's what
hand
happened to
keep growing.
Danya.
Yeah, it's just funny to me.
Yeah. Okay, so this is where Kingfisher asks Carrion where his sword is, and Carrion blushes. And now that you say that, you might be right, because she's like, he doesn't usually blush, but he blushes and says, "Don't you concern yourself with Simon. I know exactly where my god sword is. Thank you very much." But this is
God.
This is
What is
afterward.
she using it for?
That is true. This is
afterward.
That's a good
But
point.
then later he just like the way I typed this is he just whips it out.
Wow, Simon.
That sounds
says.
so much
Surprise.
worse now.
Where's your god sword? Right
Take
here.
it.
I got a god sword for you.
They unsheathe it.
I'm about to introduce you to all 7 gods. Later, he just suddenly has Simon, and it's like he's just had it the whole time. So I feel like this is either him being weirdly secretive again, or because he seemed to actually be embarrassed. Like, I feel like he has the ability to like hide and summon his sword. Because he definitely didn't have it just like chilling where they were in college before he just all of a sudden did. So I feel like he could probably hide and summon it at will and maybe just hadn't been able to figure out how to summon it yet. Like he figured out how to like get it to go into the void or whatever, and then he couldn't get it back. And I think that's a lot funnier than the other option.
I could see him too, just like putting it in the most obvious, obscure place, like at the front door in the umbrella holder thing, and there's just a sword chilling in there with all the umbrellas, or like something super random like that.
Yeah.
Because that just feels like where he would keep important things, just out in the open.
Yeah.
Just left it there.
Yeah, and nobody looked at it.
Well, they are heading to Tal's room, and it says Saris was thinking about how she knew this door went into Tal's room because, quote, they were so familiar to Tal, and I was a product of his line. And I was like, gross. Can she hurry up and break the bond already? Like,
Oh my gosh.
and then as they're kind of like waiting, Zovina ends up showing up. It says her black high-collared dress clung to her curves, accentuating her hips and cleavage, which was almost spilling over the lace cups. And I wrote, go on. And then it keeps going. When Zovina spoke, a gust of something sensual and exotic rose from her and hit the back of my nose. The scent was intoxicating. It made my head spin a little. I wrote, yes, the power of arousal at a moment's notice. What a power to have. I just thought this was kind of weird. I'm assuming that Zovina did this, unless she was just like, this was describing her perfume or something like that. I don't know.
Yeah, maybe. I mean, she was outside of Taladeus' room, so
And she probably knew what was
I don't
going on in there, because she was like, I wouldn't go
Yeah.
in there. But I am keeping this in mind with the fact that Saris thinks Hayden would like fall all over Zovina, or was like,
Yeah.
would be super
Yeah,
attracted to her or
true.
whatever. So just keeping that in my mind too, now that Hayden's finally in this realm. So I don't know. Then this is my shifter watch. That's what I'm going to start calling it. I'm on shifter watch.
Nice.
And
I like
this
it.
is for
Right.
Zovina. And it says her features warped, her mouth suddenly too large, pulling up at the corners. And then it kind of describes other things. And then Carrion says, gods and martyrs, what's wrong with your face? And then a little bit later says, Zovina hissed like a hellcat. So I'm like, so is she some sort of actual creepy hellcat, or some sort of, I don't know. But like her face shifted so much. And obviously maybe it could have just been a vampire thing with, I don't know, going to bite or having her fangs and all that stuff. But it was enough that Carrion who has seen feeders and everything of the like still freaked out about her face. So it was different.
Yeah.
Yeah.
A cat, you say?
She's secretly guru.
Oh, maybe.
Oh.
I do have a note about that later too. Not about Zovina, but
That
about
she would have
Guru.
eaten Cerys's blood, though. So what's that mean?
And kingfishers now.
That's true.
Yeah.
Ugh. Yeah. I did mention this in the pronunciation guide, but this is where Zovina says to Carrion, be mindful of that tongue, Shiaska. I am not a fool. I know who you are. And then she's like hinting that she knows that he's of the Dianthus line. So I didn't know if Shiaska means like king since Seneschal. I typed it wrong. I don't know if Shiaska means king or something similar since Seneschal means like second in command or like advisor to the king. But that was just the little note I had in here.
Sovina kept all the letters, and I'm really mad at myself for not mentioning her when I was like, was it Malcolm? Was it Tal? And I'm like, not thinking the lady of the missives or whatever. Like, dumb on my part. But
The mail lady.
yeah, the mail lady. I didn't think about the UPS worker, and she has all the letters, and so now she has to bring them to Foley. And I don't know if we'll get to see that on page or not, but I don't know. I hope that will heal some with Foley, because I have big theories onto how he will play a role in Cerys and Carrion's roles as leaders. So we'll see about that later.
All right. And Zovina sets her jaw. So cheers.
Cheers.
And stay thirsty, my friends, because this is when Taladeus comes out of his room, and I wrote, hello, Taladeus.
I wrote 10 hot salute emoji. It's my favorite.
Perfect. I love it. All right. Chapter 31, Vapor and Smoke. This is Kingfisher's POV. And it starts with him holding Onyx, quote, tightly under one arm, humming a lullaby that my mother had sung to me as an infant quietly under my breath. Not to the fox. I wasn't humming to the fox. That would have been weird.
Right.
I love book 2 Kingfisher. And then this next part, I just pictured him saying it the way that I would, where he was like, do you like fish? I bet you do, huh? I bet you like some now, huh? Some tasty trout. And then he procures some fish for Onyx, and it says, right about now, a barmaid at the Shag's Nest in Western Dow was wondering where in all 5 hells the order of smoked trout she'd just been carrying had disappeared to. And I said, hilarious use of magic, 10 out of 10. I love that this was a reach for him, but he sacrificed yet again for Onyx's sake, and I just think this is really funny. I love it.
Yeah, that's the second time for him to use big magic on Onyx.
Big magic.
So, besties.
You're muted.
You're muted.
Nuts! I'm so sorry. I somehow made Kyle big on my screen.
Oh, did you do the pin? You just have to click the little pin again.
There it
Did
is.
you pin me? You dirty dog.
All right. And then we get maybe the top spot of the book. I don't know. But Onyx brings Fisher a pine cone. He scurries under Cerys's bed and comes out with, I think it says, the perfect little pine cone or something like that. And it's just like, oh my goodness.
That's so cute.
It's so fun.
And also probably super important later for some reason.
Yeah, this is probably the most important thing to happen in this entire book.
Yeah. It's
The literal
that's-
entire book.
That's what's going to be needed to defeat all of the evil and the rot in this book. Yeah.
Is there a pine cone in the end paper art with Onyx in it? No, I want to look.
But also, they're at Sanisroth,
Dang it.
right? There's not trees and stuff out there,
Oh.
right? It's all feeders and gross land and whatever. So where did he bring this little pine cone from?
I don't know. Sweet little guy. Yeah, I don't know. So Fisher takes his little pine cone. Did he put it in his pocket? Where's the pine cone now? Does Fisher still have it?
Yeah.
I feel like he put it in his pocket. But he goes to the library and he sees Guru and starts following Guru. And in his POV, it says, I had always made it a rule to follow a cat, particularly a black cat. He wrote, weird rule to have for yourself, but okay. Kyle, does this count as a pick-me boy statement or is this too obscure?
I'm going to say no. But only because he's saying it to himself. If he was using it as like something to prove that he was quirky to others, then maybe. But he's
Fair.
like, that is that.
Okay.
That's just a weird rule for yourself. But go
This
off.
is the rule.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. All right.
Yeah, well,
I'll take that.
Okay, Okay, well, he follows the cat all the way through whatever, and I was convinced the whole time that they would just get to a certain spot and then it would magically turn into Foley, but that does not happen. But we do go through Foley's, I guess, like his room that he's created for himself in the library, and he has is it called an orrery? Which is like the mechanical thing that has all the planets. But I thought it was really interesting that it's aligned differently than what Kingfisher is used to or thinks it's supposed to be. So I don't know if that matters or why Foley has one of those on his desk readily, like he was looking at it recently or something. So I don't know if that's important. And then we also get this super interesting fact that Foley's family was second to the Dianthus family and like was his dad was King Dianthus's like second-hand man or whatever. So I wonder if this is going to come into play later, if Foley and Carrion will somehow work together in that same role, or somehow they're going to fall into that pattern somehow and they're going to become like a pair, like besties, like a Renfis, Kingfisher, Carrion, Foley kind of type vibes.
I thought you were about to say fall in love. You were like, fall into that pattern. It's like, oh,
no,
okay.
I mean, maybe. I wouldn't put it past Carrion, but I don't see Foley doing that. The only reason I'm maybe not thinking that would happen is because Foley is a vampire. But at the same time, at the end of this, it talks about how he's not drinking people's blood and probably could be around regular people. So maybe, I don't know.
Yeah.
But I have more theories how he might play into Ceres's story as her being queen. So we'll get to that later. And then Foley mentions there are people I love out there in the world. There's you being Kingfisher, Lorith, Vash, and Mayan. And I was like, who are these last two people? Like, I don't know. So I went back to the Kingfisher POV chapters on Callie's website with the Gate Part 1 and the Gate Part 2. And Vash, it could be Vash Gideon, who is one of the members of the Lupoprolia. I feel like that makes sense. But I don't know who Mayan is. And then also, where are they, those two people? Do we know what happened to Vash after Ajun Gate?
I don't think so. The way he said it, made it just sound like they're still out there somewhere.
Yeah.
And then why are they?
How are they?
Oh my God. That's my whole note. Thanks for the deep conversation on that one, guys.
You're welcome. Back to the orrery, though. My first thought was that this may have come from a different realm, like a different world altogether. I don't know how far the Quicksilver's reach is, like if it could take someone to a completely different like galaxy where all of their planets are differently aligned. Like I don't remember exactly what the quote said, but for some reason I interpreted it as these are like completely different planets or stars altogether, not the ones from their universe, galaxy, I guess, as they know it. But then Kingfisher also gives this shadow cat his blood to drink. And why are we all okay with this? Nobody's questioning that you're just giving this weird little shadow cat your blood. I don't know.
At least Kingfisher didn't do it like knowingly that this cat was going to come drink it. He didn't stop the cat from doing it. He was just cutting his hand to like test Foley to see if he'd attack him or whatever.
Yeah, but the cat was like, I want some of that. And it was like, okay.
I mean, can you blame it?
I've wondered this, like, especially since Foley warned her about the whole Stargazer thing and getting like strands of hair. Because I feel like blood in that case would be even more potent and way bigger of a deal to get. So like the first one that scraped her, and then this, and then there was an instance with Ceres and her blood before, I think. But I'm just like, why are we being so free about some of the most powerful people in this kingdom just being like, here's my blood.
Maybe it's Balor Mython because they were like, I wonder how Kingfisher tastes.
Yeah, that's a good point. Yikes.
Just sidled on up.
Yep.
Well, I am officially sad that Guru isn't Foley because I was convinced that was the case for a while. So, all right. And then I don't know that I like that Joshin is going to be chilling in the library with Foley. Like, I don't know if that's scary, but also, like, does the Hazrax visit there often? Because he says he likes to read things. So, like, I kind of think that he's a demon or something going on. And now there's another one there. And that could potentially be something bad or...
Yeah.
I don't know. Just something to remember, I guess, that Joshin is now chilling in the library. And I mean, if you're going to have to be somewhere for eternity, the library is not a bad place.
Fair.
You know,
fair.
So there's at least that. And then finally, Kingfisher says, "You are good. You are my brother. You are a wolf." And I wrote, A wolf vampire hybrid? I'd read that.
Sold.
Here for it.
Like if Twilight, but one of them was gender swapped and a boring white girl tried to break them up, is what you're saying? Like,
What?
and they had a little baby, a little wolf vamp baby.
There is a gender swap Twilight.
Is there?
So, yeah,
I
there
guess
is.
I wouldn't doubt it.
Suck on that, Kyle.
Yeah.
Maybe I will. It's gender swapped.
Okay. All right.
All right, chapter 32. The thing about leaning. Ceres.
Oh, whoa.
I thought it was really funny. Carrion, after Tal says he's not into dudes, Carrion says, that's okay. The thing about leaning is it's very unstable. The ground could shift, and you find yourself leaning a completely different direction at any moment. I myself have experienced all kinds of leanings. And I just wrote Carrion and Tal in 5 minutes and put the gif of Scott Pilgrim where Julie Powers looks away for 2 seconds. And was it Wallace Wells just is making out with her new boyfriend? That's exactly what I pictured. And her being like, not again!
Such a great reference.
That's funny.
Yeah.
Good. So this is where Ceres learns that there's an even light ball. I would like to go to this even light sexy vampire ball. Absolutely. Sign me up for that.
If there's someone in the world that's hosting one of these, please invite BPNF.
Yeah.
We will be there in an instant.
Yeah. All of our info is
Here for
on
it.
our website. You can just
BetweenPagesandFriends.com.
send that along. Yes. And then later Ceres is like, I'm going to a ball. Great. And I wrote, ugh, more beautiful dresses and food and sex and wine. It's terrible. A horrible way to spend your time. And then we do get a little bit of a description from Carrion about the Even Light Festival in Zilvarin here. It's not a ton of new info, but I did want to include it because I keep freaking out about it. He says, Madra stands on a dais and addresses the whole city for an hour, ranting and raving about the dangers of magic and how mythical Fae monsters are trying to infiltrate the city to corrupt us and steal our children. After that, she gives everyone a double ration of water and a bowl of greasy stew, and then there's music. It's the only day of the year when people don't have to work. So the only paid holiday in Zilvarin. Yeah.
Sounds
Just
great.
wild. And then Ceres meets Yannika and calls her a dressmaker. And Yannika says, far be it from me to correct the illustrious queen, but I am not a dressmaker. I am the royal master tailor. And I wrote, okay, go off, Yannika.
Girl.
She's my new hyperfixation character. I love her.
I saw your note and I definitely thought you were giving like, nobody asked you, Patrice kind of energy.
No, go off. Yes, I love her.
That's so funny.
I can't wait to see what she makes. So excited.
Yeah, and after a minute here, Sarah says, grudgingly, I let the woman take my measurements. And I wrote, grudgingly? Stop being a little bitch about getting some new bougie dresses. Like, what are we doing here?
Yeah, Ceres.
Come on.
God.
Tailored, fitted, let's go.
I want Yannika to come and take my measurements.
I
Just
know,
a
right?
classic
take the dress.
FMC there.
Have her hook me up.
Yeah.
I guess you could take my perfect measurements. Ugh.
Yeah.
Oh my word. Okay, well, we also learned that at the Even Light Ball, it is not just a ball for this year's festivities, it's also being doubled as a selection evening for her to replace somebody in the Lords of Midnight. And so I'm just kind of opening it up to everyone if we have who we think it's going to be. For me, I hope it's Foley. That's my theory with that, is that he's going to come down and
I did mention this to Connor before we started recording, but I feel like he would need to swear his oath to the blood court in order to do that.
that's a good point.
So
I
could
love
see him
this for
swearing
him.
to Ceres though, even
Yeah,
if he
yeah.
doesn't do it.
Yeah,
sure.
like I like your theory about him maybe being involved with serving like Carrion. I would love for him to like be in power, I think, but I would be sad for him if it was an Amontreus because everybody like hates him and has cast him out for so long. And I just don't see them turning around and accepting him. I feel like his life would still be kind of a living hell after that.
Yeah. I just feel like if it's any of our regular, all the other friends that we have, they're non-vampires. And that would cause even more
Yeah.
drama than
yeah, because
this guy.
I was
so.
thinking that like how crazy it would be if she like elected Fisher, but I'm like, well, I mean, I don't think that
Yeah.
would work with him
Yeah.
being Fae. So that kind of takes a lot of people out unless it's some no-name person.
Onyx.
I think it'll Onyx.
This little guy's a new Lord of Midnight.
Bye. The keeper of the floof.
Everybody's like, oh, yes, okay. Do we like it?
Keeper of the pine cones. Onyx. My first thought is that it would just be like we would be meeting new characters and it would be somebody we haven't met yet because the only vampires we do know are Lords of Midnight, right?
Yep.
Oh, yeah.
Pretty much.
I think that's any of the new people we've met in Amentreth are only the people in the existing.
Except for those
Like
two
council.
guards, one missing a hand or whatever.
True, Baby Hand could be
Yeah, Baby
him,
Hand,
I
Cole,
guess.
and his cousin.
Oh, yeah, the guys at the tavern,
Yeah.
too.
Yeah, or Lore, whoever Tal brought to, but I would assume that that's not a vampire. Whoever he brought to the tavern.
Yeah,
So
Yeah.
I don't know. I'm also just here to say thank the gods that Adina didn't make this book situation dependent upon Sarah's figuring it out first, because this book would have been a lot longer
Yeah,
if that were the case.
for sure.
And yeah, she goes through that whole scene with the stargazers and the book forms. Navy blue cloth cover, thick, a tiny silver butterfly was stamped in foil on the front cover. And I was like, booyah, baby.
Good job, John.
Called it. Nailed it. I was
Well
super
deserved.
pumped because I feel like I never get a theory right. Right? I like never call it. So I was like, yay. I did it, Mom.
Good. So proud.
I did it, Mom.
This was one of my last notes from this chapter was just me rolling my eyes at Sarah's finally just now remembering that she wasn't supposed to tell anyone about the book and then giving it to Kingfisher anyway. But again, Adina knew exactly how this was going to go down. She knew Sarah's wasn't going to listen. So.
Yeah.
Crazy.
And then Fisher sets his jaw. So
Oh,
cheers. What'd you say, Kyle?
In a good way, she knew.
Yeah, true.
Well, and it's interesting that she acted like there were multiple paths she could have taken. Like that, you know, that she had seen all these different ways and knew that this would be the one that was strongest for them or whatever. So,
True.
interesting.
My final note for this chapter was when he reads the page of the book and, you know, kind of gives it back to her. And Sarah basically says, like, don't you want to read it? And he's like, no, like, I trust her and I trust you. And he goes on to say a few more things. But the first thing that came to mind here was perhaps this was a compliance, an OSHA compliance here.
Oh.
He didn't call, you know, he didn't call her OSHA, but this is another one of those instances where, you know, we got to reward good behavior, that type of thing. So, yeah.
Listening to Mama. Yeah.
Yep.
Always listen to your mother. Everyone listening.
Mother knows best.
Unless your mother's Mother Gothel. That was the worst example you could have
then
come
maybe
up with.
leave that castle, honey.
Leave that castle.
Tower, I guess.
Yeah.
That's so good.
All right, we're almost there, you guys. Chapter 33, No Regrets is how this is typed in here. This is Kingfisher's POV. It's just the letter. This is the whole chapter is just this letter, and I'm just here to say that I love Adina, and the end of this letter almost made me cry. It didn't get me. Almost.
Oh, that's sweet. Yeah, I only put 2 highlights in here. The first talking about how she had multiple paths and giving the book to Kingfisher was the one that made her the strongest. And definitely up until reading that, I'm just sitting there being like, Sarah's, you freaking idiot. You just ruined this whole thing. The whole book is ruined. Everything's over. So I'm glad that that's not the case. And I'm glad that we got immediate answers on that instead of being stuck for forever not knowing what it says. Like how we don't know what the rest of the book says right now. And then, you know, and then...
This book or the one that she has?
Both. I was talking about the butterfly book.
Yeah.
But we also don't know because we haven't read the actual
True.
book.
Exactly.
Cool. My other note here was just where Adina mentions that she thinks Kingfisher's soul is probably shattered at the knowledge that she remained here for so long after she passed. But please know it was a necessity and know that I have cherished every second I have gotten to watch you from the other side of the veil. And just talking about how, you know, whenever she like spoke through Everlane or whatever, and they were talking about how the sheer will of power for her to stay around that long and everything. So it makes me wonder if she's gone now. Like we won't see Adina do that again. Being that we, you know, it happened once, but then she's mentioning it here I have cherished.
seems
She's
like a
talking in
goodbye.
past tense. Yeah. So
Yeah.
it makes me wonder if that just won't happen again. Because I had been wondering that, like, if we will see her again in some other way or whatever, but maybe not.
I was just going to say, I feel like it was maybe just tied to Sarah's finding the book. So whenever that happened, that was kind of
Her time to
the
go.
cue for her soul to leave or whatever.
Yeah, I can see that.
Do you think there is any truth or anything more to than the story about them being like, oh yeah, some magician was here years ago and they made one bird and they made other birds or whatever? Like the whole story that was originally told to us about the stargazers.
Oh,
Do you think
true.
that
Yeah,
was
that's a good
that
point.
there's any truth to that, or if that's just like a rumor, or if it was either Adina herself or Kingfisher's dad that was the one who took the book there and turned them into?
Because, I was wondering, like, last episode, if they're not in Kalish, like, how did they get them over to Amentreath?
Yep. I've also wondered why would they be collecting hair for other random witches or other things.
They're just
that
constantly
they were saying.
testing people's DNA.
Oh,
And
that's
they-
probably it.
anyone who came in
yeah.
the library.
I didn't think of it like that.
Which also crazy to think that she would be able to prophesy like the exact DNA that she would have, or the blood or whatever, to be like, yeah, she's
that's
type
also a
A
good
for
point.
sure.
Yeah, I don't know.
Hopefully we'll find out at some point. Chapter 34. This is our last chapter of the section. It's called Very Wrong Indeed, a Sarah's POV. I am once again submitting a job application to Sarah's Fane, but this time it is not as a graphic designer. It is as the official event planner of Amentreath. Because Sarah's clearly has no interest in being asked questions about flowers and music and seating arrangements. So I would just like to volunteer as tribute. This is part of my actual day job, and I would be happy to take over.
You do have to be
you.
a vampire if you're okay with that.
I'm okay with that. That's fine.
I'm okay if Khan becomes a vampire.
Point.
Well, okay.
I sacrifice you.
Thank you. That means a lot to me. Thank you.
It should. That's funny.
Anyway, Archer is talking to Carrion now, and this was just his little quote about how people dream that one day the Dianthus heir will return and the cruelty they suffer at present will come to an end. And his whole speech about this and just his attitude and like passion about it, I feel like it was such an important moment for Carrion. And I love that it was coming from Archer. I thought this was so sweet. And then a muscle in Carrion's jaw ticks. So cheers again. Lots of cheersies in this one. I have a little maybe shifter watch for Lauren when Archer is describing Adina as just that she was really graceful. And he says, quote, when she moved, it was as though her feet never even touched the ground. And I said, like the shadow cat, because Guru was almost exactly described this way, just like a couple chapters ago.
I just need confirmation on if she has shadow magic or illusion magic. Because if she has shadow magic, it totally could be that. And in the library
Yeah.
and everything.
I don't know, man. I don't even really know what the difference is, to be honest. Like, I know shadows,
You could totally
obviously,
make shadows
but like,
with illusions, honestly.
right? Yeah.
I would
don't
think
know.
it's like when Kingfisher, like in the bonus chapter, whenever he makes her an entire bathroom. He can't do that with his shadows. And like
Well,
that she
with
can
his
actually
shadows, he was
manipulate
able
it.
to like make knives and stuff, and like,
He talks about this at one point in this
Yeah,
chapter
but
segment, doesn't he? Where he's like,
I j-
I can make this with shadows and they're functional, but I can't do this with shadows.
Oh.
I can't remember. He said something about it, I thought.
But then, like, whenever
I did.
they're in the dream sex cabin and he makes like a bed chair thing for them to sit on. Like that's
That's a dream.
assuming-
You can't.
illusion
real.
magic. Good point.
no
Great
natural
point.
laws of physics.
In his
or magic
dreams, could
apply
he ever
there.
make a chair?
Wild fantasies there, buddy.
Looking wistfully over at it. If only.
I had another quick note. I guess I just am Adina's biggest fan. I love how Archer was talking about her again and said just that she never became distant or like changed as her seer gifts grew. Because I could see that being like something that would be so difficult, like that she spent her whole life like preparing Kingfisher for all this stuff that was going to come like hundreds of years in the future. And so she's finding all these ways to like weave in these little things and preparing like books as thousands of pages of paper birds in a library that's not even where he lives, like all this stuff that she's weaving together, all these little details, but that like someone who was a servant in the household saw her as being like very present and graceful and all these things, which was really cool. However, he also says, quote, she knew nothing about metalwork or the workings of a forge, but she would come and sit in that chair, yes, that one, the one next to yours, and she would say that she was visiting with a friend. And I wrote, excuse me, in all caps, but I don't really have any theories on this.
Yeah, I wrote, was it Visions of Ceres? Or like, is that where she was having like all of her thoughts about her or something? And then my only other thought would be Onyx, because that's where we found Onyx, was in the forge.
Yeah,
But I don't know how old Onyx is to know.
Right,
like-
and I would think that Archer would remember Onyx if Onyx had been around for that long, or that Kingfisher might. But
that's a good point.
If he says she said she was visiting with a friend, but nobody could see it.
She could be projecting herself into what Onyx is now. Like if Onyx sit next to Ceres while she's at the forge. Yeah, nah,
I don't know.
sitting in that same little chair.
And Kingfisher was really young whenever his mom died, so it's not like...
Yeah.
I mean, he could remember it, obviously, but...
And in some, like, I can't remember if it's... I'm not going to mention the country because I don't know, but in some Fae lore, there's a lot of animals that are seen more as, like, familiars, and they're basically immortal, and they can like, die, and they can come back, and
That's what I'm
they
saying.
serve their owners and stuff like that, pass through family lines, so I wouldn't be surprised if there was some of that in here.
I could be more and more on that train. I don't know, but I think this is maybe my last Adina note. I just want to know what these flowers were because I feel like it's super important. And I think was that this week or last week that I was wondering if Adina may have given Ceres some sort of Fae name, if she would have known that like Ceres wouldn't have one and that it would be necessary for like a marriage with Kingfisher, especially since he like made a point to tell her that like their wedding ceremonies specifically involve that. And since they had just mentioned this little Kingfisher bird that Adina loved, like I'm wondering if maybe the name of the flower would have something to do with Ceres or like a Fae name of some kind, even if it's not hers. But I just feel like that's so important and we got cut off. So
Yeah.
throwing that in there.
That is interesting. I didn't think too much about the flower, but yeah, now I'm going to be fixated on that. So cool,
You're welcome.
cool.
Maybe Elroy knows. Just
Probably.
another thing.
Probably. Well, maybe that's what was in the papers. That would have like, maybe it had her real name or something in it. That
In
was
the
what
what?
would have like,
Oh,
in
yeah,
the
Kingfisher
papers.
The papers
would've been
that
like, I know
Elroy-
what was in there.
Yeah.
Her birth certificate, her Fae birth certificate.
maybe. Okay, well, Carrion has this conversation with Ceres while Archer walks outside to go get the flowers. And he just like says in super casual, the fire sprites are dying out. Did you know that? And she's like, what? How do you know? Or whatever. And he's like, a water sprite told me. So I feel like that's important, specifically because Archer's fire killed one of these feeders. And hopefully Ceres figures out Brimstone or whatever that is. But like, what if it comes down to all these little fire sprites or something, and now they're like dying out? So that that could be a thing.
And he immediately said something funny to distract from what he just said.
That's
About
true. That's a good point. Oh, Carrion. Well, we're having this, and I'm just like reading, not thinking anything's gonna happen. Never to our beloved Archer. If something happens to Archer, I will quit. And then all of a sudden, Archer starts screaming help. And like, I literally just was, I don't even know. I just wrote, this is not allowed, and I will quit this podcast if he dies.
The whole thing
Shut up.
forever.
I'm done with it. I will riot. I'll be so upset.
So stay tuned for next week, maybe.
Maybe I'll be here for like half an episode and then I'll be out. And then this feeder is like attacking Archer, and she starts describing it that it looks like Ren, and starts like saying all the same
That was
things about
rude.
it. And I was freaking out because I had just had these other notes about like Renfus is out there somewhere. We haven't seen this whole chapter section. Lord's going off. And so luckily it was not. But that really, really freaked me out because I can't imagine
Yes.
everyone's making it through the end of the book. If everybody made it through book 1, there's no way everyone's making it through book 2. Like that just can't be. And I don't want it to be Renfis. He's not even been here.
No.
Bring him back.
It's rude.
And then there was this really interesting paragraph, and it gets moved on very quickly because, you know, you're in the middle of like a fight scene. But it said, the second carrion got close to the feeder and tried to pull me off, it snarled, batting him away. It happened so fast. Carrion hit the corner wall of the courtyard, a winded "guh" coming out of him as he tried to right himself. Behind him, the vines choking the crumbling brickwork suddenly bloomed, 1,000 tiny white flowers exploding open and wilting right before my eyes. Dried petals rained down on the smuggler, landing in his hair as he shoved away from the wall. Okay.
Are these
What?
the flowers that Archer was going to get?
I don't know. And like, is Carrion's magic just making flowers bloom and then die? Or is it the flowers or is it
Isabella?
Carrion?
This is Encanto.
It really is. No, I don't know. That just is really interesting to me, and I don't have any answers. So,
Do you think this could have had something to do with blood if he hit the wall that hard?
maybe.
I mean, it didn't mention it specifically, so
I don't know.
possibly not, but
If he is bleeding, it makes me more nervous. If the rot is around, I don't really know how the rot gets in you and makes you
yeah.
rot.
Rot.
But
Rot.
I just assume maybe through the blood, like if they're biting or attacking or something. I don't know.
I feel like these are the flowers, though.
Oh, okay.
But I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know. Only because they were already dead makes me think not. I don't know.
Well, they just bloomed suddenly. So I don't know if maybe Archer knew that there was like a certain way to get them to do that. I have no idea.
Yeah, I don't either. All right. Well, maybe those are the flowers. I don't know. Sweet. Then the next line that I highlighted was, the feeder sank its teeth into Archer's neck and tore it wide open. And like, I don't know how a fire sprite like anatomy is, but if that was said about a human, I would think that's an insta kill. Like
Immediate, yeah.
tore your neck wide open. So he's gonna be fine.
He's
gonna
totally
be
going to be fine. Mhm.
It's fine. It's fine.
Yep. And that was actually my next note. I was panicking this whole time about Archer because I thought he was about to have this like really emotional on-page death here. But since it doesn't happen in this chapter, and since Julie cut us off here, I am choosing to believe that he will be perfectly fine in the next Sarah's POV chapter. That's my
perfectly fine.
Good point. Yeah, not okay. But nobody's really talked about null blades in this chapter other than, I guess, John's recap, really. But this is the moment where she throws it at the feeder and it like gets absorbed into him and he gets like super buff. And then whenever, I mean, he does, his like muscles grow and stuff. It's like, I don't know. Anyways, I was going to say it's like
SpongeBob inflatable arms.
I was going to say it's like a mushroom in Mario. You know, anyways. But whenever he finally like burns and stuff, it says, Carrion says, it looks like that stew, that null blade is all that's left of it. So like, WTF is his blade? Like, what? That the brimstone doesn't even, I don't know. I don't know. I got nothing.
Same. Yep. But if brimstone is the thing that officially kills the feeders, I wrote, yay, the title of the book finally makes more sense. 65% in. Woohoo!
We just throw him into a volcano and you'll be good.
Yeah. Yes. But the last line is Carrion and Saris carrying Archer back inside, and it says, the burns would hurt, the scars would be ugly, but we weren't going to leave our friend to die out in the snow. They are heroes. And Archer better be okay. And then, because, you know, like you're doing an audiobook and sometimes it just starts like chapter whatever. And the title of the next one is called Brimstone. Everybody.
You read ahead?
It just, I did that far and then I was like, stop.
Well, but it's a Kingfisher POV.
Still.
You read
Right.
ahead?
It's the title of the book. They said the theme.
Means it must be important. Coincidence? I think not.
All right.
That's it.
That's the end of their chapter section. Moving into our thoughts, characters, world building, favorite things, writing, etc. Lauren.
All right. Well, first, let me start off with Archer better be okay. I love how Elroy is part of the story. It was not what I was expecting at all. And I think that's why I loved it so much. And it makes me wonder who else is like in the know this whole time. I kind of talked about that earlier. I really love Carrion and Kingfisher's new friendship, and even just the little tiny bits we get from them being back and Sarah's expecting Kingfisher's reaction and it's not like that, and little things like that. I just think it's cute and I want them to be besties for the resties. And I'm really worried for Everlane. I've been like so on the fence of what I think about Everlane, but this section really freaked me out for her and what's going on in there, and joking about the Upside Down or Malcolm or whatever, but clearly something major is going to involve that. It's not just like a side thing anymore, in my opinion. Like that's going to be a major thing. And then Ceres's 2 swords are really cool. That's all I wrote.
I'm sorry, her what?
Her 2 swords?
Thank you.
I don't know if it's just because me, the book itself, or like how just busy Lauren and I's last week was, but I have hit like a plateau where I did not gain any more interest in investment in the characters. Didn't lose any either, but I feel like I was like on I just got to get the information this time run, because it was very limited time to read. But It's also typical of the norm for me. It's like the middle of the book in the middle of a series.
Yeah.
At times it feels like I'm meant to be keeping track of where everyone is and what everyone's doing, but also somehow it makes it feel like that's not my job and I shouldn't worry about it. So I'm sort of like in this weird limbo.
Baby.
Yeah. In this weird limbo of like super busy. I got like the big sweeps. I mean, I read every word, don't get me wrong, but like it was late nights and stuff like that. So
Yeah,
that's it.
I feel you.
Yeah, I think Tal has just given me like all the mixed signals in the world. I don't know what he's up to. He's just like too nonchalant about everything. And also, where the hell is Rimphis in this book? Like, I feel like he was queued up to be a fairly prominent character in Quicksilver, and he's had like maybe three lines of dialogue in this book. So like, talk about expendable, but hopefully he's just on some secret mission or something. I am here for the dual wield, 100%. That was amazing. Some great fighting detail. It feels like everything gets interrupted by something else all of the time. The book has some serious ADHD. Whatever is haunting Everlane is clearly someone and not just something, especially Sarah seeing the figure like in her pupil or whatever. That was kind of crazy. I would guess that it's a demon, but I feel like when we learned that Fisher's mom kind of like trained him up with the stories, I feel like he would have recognized it for what it was if there was like a demon who infiltrated the mind or dreams or something. So I don't think it's a demon. And then my kind of final thought is Dania and Carrion are already doing it.
Yeah, 100%.
100% for sure.
And this wasn't the first time they've done it either.
Right.
Oh.
Yeah, no way.
They sneaking around. Which I don't know why they feel the need to be sneaking around.
No, I wouldn't think they would need to. He's
like, I don't know for
he's
whose
so
sake
open about
are
it.
they
Yeah.
Who are they doing this for? Is it like
I could see it being like a Dania thing every time. Like, this is the last time it happens, and then she wants to pretend it's not a thing.
Yeah, and
But
Carrion
But she's
knows
so
it's not
openly
gonna be.
pursuing him and flirting with him in front of everyone. So
Recently,
Yeah,
I don't know.
They've known each other a while. I think it's been a thing. The
I
whole
mean,
time.
he was gone. I don't know. Quickly though, about your note about the book having ADHD, I feel like it makes sense in the sense that like book 1 was all single POV and now we have dual, and it switches back and forth almost every single chapter. So I mean, it feels intentional, but it does feel like a big shift from the first book where we were not necessarily seeing the end of each thing being resolved right away, but yeah, it definitely feels very different.
Jumpy.
Yes. I do, however, appreciate Kingfisher being a big vulnerable softie in this book now that he has his mate. I'm loving Carrion more and more and anxiously awaiting more reveals from him, and you can interpret that however you would like. Onyx still holds his title as the very best boy in the realm and the keeper of the pine cones and the floof. I'm very excited to see what else Ceres can do, and even more than that, I am excited to see what Yanika is about to do with this dress for the even light ball. That's it.
All right. Well, let's move on to our theories. What's coming up, everybody?
All right. Belicon is for sure going to use the information from Arias to somehow get the one up on Ceres / the group, and they're going to get in a right pickle because of it. I believe we'll see them head to Nevercross in this book, or at least most of the party. I could see like Cerys and Fissure possibly like hanging back in Amentraeth, maybe Carrion too.
No, I think Carrion's going to go because he knows all the things about the creatures in the mountains.
Yeah, but they said they'll never separate again. So will they go together?
Like Kingfisher and Cerys?
Yeah. They were like, we'll never separate again.
They'll definitely
Kissy,
stay
kissy.
together. But yeah, like with it all getting like so close to Kalish, I feel like at this point we're going to see them go to Nevercross in this book.
For me, I am just really worried about the fire sprites dying, and especially if that's the only thing we've seen kill one of these feeders right now. That seems like it's going to be a major thing. Unless Cerys is able to figure out her runes, and I was saying like maybe with her helping carrying Archer, maybe that will somehow seal that rune. I don't know. Or this is where the dragons come, because now we know that Brimstone is what kills them.
Yeah, the
And then
dragons.
they go on like a hunt to find the dragons or something.
Ooh, I like that.
So, I don't
Going
know.
on a dragon hunt.
I'm not scared. Okay, so part of me wonders if this creature thing in Everlane is Malcolm or something. I've talked about that a little bit. Because I said, like, because Cerys has these weird, like, memories in the blood from Tal, and maybe that has to do with Malcolm and Everlane or something. But I do like the idea we talked about earlier with him, like, putting part of his soul in there as well. So, I don't know, but I just feel like she's going to become a much bigger part of things. I think Cerys is going to read through this entire book from Adina and find a missing page and being like, oh, this one page was everything I needed. And she's going to forget that she has that folded up bird the entire time in her pocket, wherever she put it in her room. And that's going to be a whole extra mystery with the book. And then I really want Foley to be the new Lord of Midnight. I don't know who else it would be. That is a vampire. Because if she picks somebody not a vampire, I just feel like that causes a lot more drama than even just picking Foley, which is also going to cause drama. So I don't really know how that will work. But I do also like the idea of Foley and Carrion working together in some capacity long term. And then I just want to end all my notes with Archer better be okay. That's all I got.
Fair.
Started with that, ended with that.
Yes. Most of my theories that I typed here were about what I just talked about, with wondering if Adina may have given Cerys a Fae name, if she knew how all of this was going to play out, and she knew, maybe she didn't know that, well, she knew that Cerys either was supposed to be Fae or would be Fae at some point, but I would imagine she knew she wouldn't have a Fae name. So, but obviously one is required for a wedding ceremony of some kind. So since this is a romantasy, I imagine that will come into play at some point. And then just, I would assume that we also get Cerys sealing her Brimstone rune at some point in this book as well. That's all I got.
I am assuming that we're going to find out Kingfisher's name real soon. And by we, I mean Cerys, and then she'll get to like gift it back to him, and that'll make him right horny, and we'll have some more smut and cabin smut after that. And obviously a lot more Brimstone. Like, now the name has been said, the reason of the cover. I'm sure Cerys will find a way to make it into a weapon or a relic. Maybe while they use more primitive versions in the meantime, like just buckets of hot magma or something. And then, yeah, along with Lord, still waiting on that dragon, because that seems like the other way to do that. So,
Yeah. Here for it.
Also, I mentioned in a previous episode too, and not many believers, I was like, Bellacon's going to be in this bish. And you guys are like, I don't know. But who's laughing now?
I mean, we haven't technically seen him yet, but yeah. You're totally right.
I could definitely see it after the whole thing about the oath.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that was sort of what locked it in for me. I was
100%.
like, his right hand man is here. Come on.
Yeah.
Agreed. All right, well, that takes us to the cry counter. And right now, I am still leading the way with 1, and everybody else has 0. So,
Yay!
yay, I'm the winner.
Good job.
Thanks.
And that's it for this week. Next episode will cover chapters 35 to 43. As always, you can find our full episode schedule pinned on our Instagram if you'd like to read along with us. And if you've already read the whole thing, you need to know that no extra points are awarded for expediency. So please, no spoilers, especially not in our DMs. We do have Discord channels for both spoiler-free discussion that matches our reading pace, and full series spoiler chats where you can spoil yourself and others. Join us on Patreon to read with us podcasts or read ahead with others. And
Thanks,
now,
Kyle. Follow us on Instagram, TikTok, and YouTube at Between Pages and Friends. Check out BetweenPagesandFriends.com for merch events and to sign up for our newsletter to keep up with all things happening at BP&F. Until next time, stay wordy, stay nerdy, don't stress, and stay blessed.
Interesting technique.
That was amazing.
Bye. Bye-bye now.
Bye.
Merry Christmas.
Yeah.
Merry happy.
Holidays, winter, and stuff.